So here's the thing, I died. Yeah, real bummer. 1 second, I'm Lou Fong, freshly minted economics PhD from a fancy American university. Got a professor gig lined up. Life is looking sweet. Next second, zap. Lightning bolt. Game over. Except not really, because I woke up in some white room sitting across from a bearded old dude who casually dropped the line. Hi. I'm God. My brain just blue screened. Like, full crash. No reboot for 5 solid seconds. Turns out, God goofed. He accidentally made it rain and thunder in a spot where it absolutely should not have been raining or thundering. One single bolt of lightning. And guess who it found? Me. The universe's favorite punching bag. So God felt bad and offered me a deal. Can't revive me on Earth because apparently that breaks reality or something. But he'd let me reincarnate in a fantasy world called Samus. He showed me the character creation menu. Yes, like a video game. Races with stat sheets and everything. Dragons? Cool but dumb. Giants? Even dumber. Elves? Smart, but basically living in caves eating berries. Hard pass. I picked human because, honestly, no glaring weaknesses and I'm an economist. I work with what's reliable. Then came the family picker. God said no royalty allowed because I'm apparently too overpowered for that. So I went straight for Duke family. Why? Because I grew up an orphan eating struggle meals, and I decided my second life was going to be luxury from day one. I also asked for loving parents. A man has priorities. God gave me 3 gifts, a skill called endless learning that lets me master anything if I actually put in the work, so basically useless if I'm lazy. Thanks for the passive-aggressive motivation, God. A weekly prayer hotline to chat with him, an instant language download. Then he hit the respawn button, and everything went white. Next thing I know, I'm a baby. A tiny, chubby, drooling baby named Arthas Blondfield, firstborn son of Duke Vicshire Blondfield. My mom Eli Vi is cooing over me calling me adorable. My dad is cracking jokes about how comfortable mom's arms are. The man has zero filter. I tried to stay awake to enjoy the attention, but this baby body just shut down. Fell asleep mid-cuddle. Embarrassing. Meanwhile, Dad marched out to the Great Hall and announced my birth like I was a national holiday. And honestly, I kind of was. The Blondfield family helped found this kingdom nearly 1,000 years ago. So Dad threw a 7-day party across the entire duchy. For a baby. For me. There's already talk of an even bigger bash when the foreign nobles show up for my 1-month celebration. Dad said he wanted to relax and stop thinking about work today. He lasted about 4 seconds before he started networking with merchants and military officers at my own birth party. That's my dad. And this is my new life. Born rich, born loved, and born with a cheat code from God himself. Let's see how badly I can mess this up. So apparently my birth was kind of a big deal. Like, a really big deal. Let me walk you through the chaos I caused while doing absolutely nothing but sleeping and drooling. First up, my mom's side of the family. My grandpa, Mike Reisman, is the Western Marshal of the entire kingdom. Basically the top military dog for the whole Western Front. This man once crushed an invasion from the Akman Orc chieftain nation, chased them back across the border, stomped them so hard they had to surrender land and beg for peace. A certified legend. A war hero. And this legendary warrior abandoned his post the second he heard I was born. Saddle my horse. I'm going to see my grandson right now. My Uncle John, who inherited the Reisman border county, had to physically stop him. There was a whole argument. Grandpa pulled the, "How can you deny a grandfather his grandchild?" card. Uncle John pulled the, "You literally snuck home last month to see your other grandkids" card. Grandpa did not deny this. The man has zero shame, and I respect that deeply. They also got into a fight about who's to blame for sending my mom away to marry Dad. Grandpa blamed Uncle John. Uncle John blamed Grandpa. Both of them admitted Dad was actually a great catch, and Mom is genuinely happy. But they're still mad about missing her. These two are basically a comedy duo who happen to command armies. Eventually, Uncle John convinced Grandpa to go back to the military headquarters, sort out his responsibilities, and then come to my 1-month celebration like a civilized person. Grandpa agreed, but I'm pretty sure he was plotting another escape the entire ride back. Now here's where it gets even better. Over in the royal capital, the king, Igahog XXXIII, was in the middle of a heated council meeting. The agriculture minister was yelling about farmland going to waste after years of war. The military minister was yelling back that pulling soldiers to farm would weaken the army. Classic government stuff. Everyone screaming, nobody solving anything. Then my other grandpa stepped in. That's right, grandpa number 2. Carrie Blondfield, former head of the Blondfield family, current prime minister of the entire kingdom. This man calmly proposed having soldiers do farming as part of their physical training and count marching to the fields as long-distance drill exercises. Problem solved in 30 seconds. Smooth as butter, cool as ice. This unshakable, legendary politician who handles national crises without breaking a sweat, he completely fell apart when a messenger walked in and announced my birth. The entire court went silent. Then they heard a sound, splat. Grandpa Carey had dropped every single document he was holding. Papers everywhere. And when he bent down to pick them up, he kept dropping more. One hand picking up, the other hand fumbling. The most powerful bureaucrat in the kingdom turned into a nervous wreck because his grandson was born. The king, who's also Grandpa Carey's best friend, by the way, just watched this disaster unfold, cleared his throat, and said, "I'm giving you 40 days off. Take the crown prince and go to the celebration." Grandpa Carey could barely choke out a thank you. And for the rest of that afternoon, the man famous for never making mistakes reportedly made more errors than he had in his entire 3-year career as prime minister combined. Meanwhile, the news spread everywhere. Allied kingdoms sent congratulations. Enemy nations started scheming. Political allies made plans. Political rivals sharpened their knives. The whole continent was reacting to my existence. And me? The center of this geopolitical earthquake? I was asleep in my mom's arms. Just absolutely knocked out. Drooling on expensive silk, probably. Living my best baby life without a single care in the world. Honestly, greatest start to a second life I could have asked for. 2 grandpas who'd burned down the world for me. A dad who throws week-long parties. And a mom whose hugs are so good they're basically a sleep spell. Being baby Arthas Blondfield rules. 7 hours into my glorious new life, I opened my eyes for the first time. And the first thing I saw was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in either of my lives. Golden hair, sleeping face like a painting, easily top 10 worldwide. Then my brain caught up. Dude, that's your MOM, right? Cool. Switching from heart flutter to wholesome family feelings in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're good. I just lay there watching her sleep, smiling like a little idiot. Peaceful moment. Beautiful start to a new, my stomach growled. Well, not growled exactly. More like my entire tiny body screamed, "Feed me," in baby language. I tried to be mature about it. I'm a grown man mentally. I can handle a little hunger. I'll just wait for mom to wake up or a maid to notice. I lasted about 4 minutes. Turns out, baby bodies have 0 willpower. The hunger hit, and my eyes started leaking on their own. Then came the whimpering. Then the full volume, no dignity, screaming, ugly cry. Me, a PhD graduate, bawling my eyes out because I was hungry. First time in either lifetime I've been literally cried from missing a meal. Mom woke up, picked me up, rocked me gently. "Oh, what's wrong, little darling?" A maid figured it out. "He's probably hungry, my lady." "Oh no, mommy will feed you right away." Great. Problem solved. Food is coming. I'm saved. And then mom started undressing. My brain did the math about half a second too late. I'm a baby. Babies eat from. Oh no. Before I could even process the situation, 2 hands lifted me up and my face was heading straight toward the feeding station. I watched in slow motion as my crying mouth, still wide open from all that screaming, approached the one place that only husbands and infants are authorized to access. I have no memory of what happened next. My brain performed an emergency shutdown to protect what was left of my dignity. All I know is that my mouth was doing something mechanical and rhythmic, and I was not mentally present for any of it. I checked out. Gone. Nobody home. When I finally rebooted, the meal was over and mom had moved on to playtime. And by playtime, I mean those peek-boo, tickle-tickle, coochie-coo games that every parent does with their baby. Mom was having the time of her life. Giggling, making silly faces, waving toys around. I'm 26 years old inside. But she looked so happy. So genuinely, radiantly happy playing with me. So I did what any loving son with a PhD would do. I waved my little sausage arms around and went, goo goo ga, like a trained circus baby. Oscar-worthy performance. 5 stars. Then came embarrassment number 3. I had to pee. Now here's the thing about being a baby with an adult brain. I knew I needed to go. Normal babies? They just let it rip without a second thought. They don't even understand the concept of holding it. But me? I'm sitting here clenching muscles I didn't even know babies had, desperately trying to communicate. Bathroom, please, through a mouth that can only produce HHHYGA. I'm flailing. I'm waving. I'm making every signal I can think of. Mom's watching me like it's the cutest thing she's ever seen. Oh, look at you wiggling around. So playful today. No, not playful. Bathroom. Toilet. Please, for the love of God. The pressure was building. The dam was cracking. I started crying again because that's literally the only communication tool this stupid baby body has. Mom panicked. She didn't know why I was crying. The maid didn't know either. 1 minute I was playing, the next I was screaming. They stared at each other, completely baffled. Then Mom picked me up and started rocking me. The rocking made it worse. Now it wasn't going to be a bed situation anymore. It was going to be a MOM situation. I was going to go on my mother. The most beautiful woman in 2 worlds. The woman who gave me life. It happened. The dam broke. I have never felt such a complicated mix of emotions. Relief, because oh my God, the pressure was finally gone. Shame, because I just peed all over my mother's expensive clothes. Horror, because I'm a grown man who and Mom? She laughed. Oh, that's why you were crying. You needed the bathroom. Oh my goodness, how clever. You tried to tell Mommy, but Mommy didn't understand. I'm so sorry, sweetie. She wasn't mad. She wasn't grossed out. She was proud of me for trying not to pee on her. The bar for achievement in baby life is underground. This went on for over a year, by the way. Every single day. The feeding, the games, the bathroom disasters. At some point I just stopped being embarrassed. You can only pee on your mom so many times before your pride simply evaporates. Being reborn is glamorous, they said. You'll have cheat skills, they said. Nobody warned me about this part. I woke up wet. Again. At this point my morning routine was open eyes, feel the swamp, cry for help, get cleaned up by professionals. Rinse and repeat. Literally. After a week of life, I got upgraded from Mom's bedroom to my own room. And when I say my own room, I mean a room so massive that my actual bed could fit 6 people comfortably. And it was still only 1/6 of the space. I had a fancy desk, a wardrobe, chairs, toys, the works. Duke lifestyle, baby. But did I sleep on that glorious king-sized bed? No. I slept in a tiny crib next to it while 2 trained nanny maids got to enjoy my luxurious mattress. The reason I got kicked out of Mom's room? Officially, Mom has no childcare experience and might not handle emergencies well. Unofficially, Mom and Dad have a nightlife. Yeah, I didn't need to hear that through the walls. Eviction was a mercy. Now, here's where things got interesting. Normal babies take 2 months to lift their heads. I did it in 1 week. Having an adult brain controlling a baby body is basically like having a cheat code for physical milestones. Mom was thrilled. She was running around telling everyone her genius baby could hold his head up already. But my real secret weapon? Language. See, moving your body as a baby is hard because baby muscles are garbage. But talking? That's mostly about your voice box and practice. Normal babies don't try to talk on purpose. They just accidentally make sounds until words happen. Me? I was running speech drills in my crib like a man preparing for a TED Talk. Every day, my pronunciation got a little clearer. I had a plan. A beautiful plan. Fast forward to day 25. Mom, Dad, and Dad's second wife Shia were having afternoon tea in the garden. Quick note on Shia. She's pregnant, pretty, has short brown hair, and is the daughter of Viscount Tom Phillid, who's basically the deputy prime minister. Grandpa Carrie and Tom are best buddies who planned this marriage together. And honestly, Shia is super cool. She and Mom get along great. Zero drama, zero jealousy. This household is weirdly wholesome for a noble family with multiple wives. Anyway, they were chatting about my upcoming 1-month celebration. Grandpa Mike the war marshal, Grandpa Carrie the prime minister, and even the crown prince, who Dad called that idiot, were all coming. Dad wanted to carry me around at the party to show me off. Mom was a little worried, but Shia talked her into it. He's so cute, everyone will die of jealousy. Then they started joking about how if both grandpas leave the capital at the same time, the king would lose his mind. Dad was already laughing, imagining the king's stressed-out face. And right in the middle of all this cozy family chatter, I woke up. Dad noticed first. Oh, Arthas is awake. This was it. The moment. 25 days of secret vocal training. Weeks of practice in my crib while the maids thought I was just babbling. I turned my head, looked at my father, opened my mouth, and delivered the word I'd been rehearsing. Baba, silence. Total. Complete. Silence. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. 3 adults frozen in place like someone hit the pause button on reality. It was getting awkward. Really awkward. So I pivoted. Turned to Mom. Locked eyes. Dropped the second bomb. Mama, more silence. Even more silence. The garden was so quiet I could hear a butterfly judging me. I was starting to sweat. Did I mess up the pronunciation? Was it too early? Did I break them? Are they okay? Should I cry? That usually works. Then Dad exploded. And that's where I'll leave it. Just me, a 1-month-old baby genius, sitting in my mom's arms while my father lost his entire mind over 2 syllables. 26 years of academic achievement in my past life. PhD in economics. University professorship lined up. Greatest accomplishment of both my lives. Saying Baba and Mama at a tea party. So remember when I said Baba and Mama at the tea party? Let me tell you what happened after Dad's vocal cords detonated. Mom snapped out of her trance first. But before she could say anything, Dad, still vibrating with excitement, shoved his face at me and went, "Come on, Arthas. Say it again." Baba. Dad's eyes got watery. Mom saw this and immediately cut in line. "Arthas, say Mama too." Mama. Mom ascended to heaven. I could practically see her soul leaving her body from pure happiness. Then they took turns. Back and forth. Over and over. Say Baba. Baba. Now Mama. Mama. Baba again. Baba. Mama. Mama. I became a human jukebox with a 2-song playlist. They kept requesting the same tracks and losing their minds every single time like it was brand new. I don't know how many times I said it. Dozens? Hundreds? I lost count somewhere around the 40th. Baba, my parents, however, remembered the exact number. Because of course they did. This went on until my baby body physically gave out, and I fell asleep mid-syllable. I was basically a wind-up toy that ran out of battery. Now, apparently I should mention something about the people watching this circus. Specifically Lulu, one of my caretaker maids. I pieced her story together over time. She's a slave bought by Grandpa Carey when she was young. The Blondefield family treats their slaves decently, no abuse, which apparently makes us the good guys by noble standards. Low bar, but okay. According to Lulu, I'm apparently the easiest baby in recorded history. Most babies cry for no reason at random hours of the night, turning their caretakers into sleep-deprived zombies. Me? I only cry when something is actually wrong. Hungry? Cry. Need the bathroom? Cry. Existential crisis about being trapped in an infant body. Okay, that one I keep to myself. The maids were so prepared for nightmare shifts that they set up a rotation schedule. 3 maids, taking turns through the night, bracing for chaos. They never needed it. I was so low maintenance that their biggest job perk became sleeping on my ridiculously luxurious bed while I chilled quietly in my crib. Lulu literally said she'll probably never sleep on a bed that nice again in her life. You're welcome, ladies. She also noticed I'd been practicing my pronunciation since day 1. Most babies just randomly gurgle. I was running vocal drills like a man on a mission. She thought it was weird but cute. And when I finally dropped the Baba Mama bomb today, even she was shocked. What she wasn't shocked about was my parents completely losing their composure. Apparently Dad going feral with excitement is becoming a regular event since I was born. The great Duke Vicshire Blondefield, respected leader, political powerhouse, reduced to a giggling mess by a baby saying 2 syllables. Lulu wanted to step in and say, "Hey, maybe stop making the 1-month-old perform like a circus act? He might get tired," but she read the room and wisely kept her mouth shut. Smart woman. You don't interrupt 2 nobles in the middle of a parenting high. After I passed out from exhaustion, Lulu carried me back to my room. And on the way there, she thought I was asleep so she wouldn't get caught. She leaned in and whispered, "Arthas, try saying Lulu next." Lady, I was out. Completely unconscious. Gone to dreamland. But honestly, that was kind of adorable. Consider it added to the playlist. You've earned it. So that's the story of how I became the most popular 2-word DJ in the duchy. Coming soon to a party near you. Arthas Blondfield, live in concert, performing his smash hits, Baba, and Mama, and maybe, just maybe, a surprise new track. Let me set the scene for the absolute circus that was my 1-month birthday party. But first, my grandpa Mike. This lunatic. This beautiful, unhinged madman. So remember, Grandpa Mike is the Western Marshal, top military commander of the entire Western region. His one job is to stay at headquarters and make sure the Orc nation doesn't invade. So what did he do before leaving to see me? He launched a preemptive military strike. Not because the Orcs were attacking. Not because there was a threat. No, he destroyed their watchtowers, wrecked their supply routes, and smashed their forward positions, purely so they'd be too busy rebuilding to invade while he was away visiting his grandson. He calculated that repairing all that damage would take months, which was more than enough time for him to come cuddle me and get back. Uncle John was losing his mind. "Father, you can't just start a border conflict so you can go see a baby." Grandpa Mike didn't even blink. "It's fine. The king won't mind. We're buddies. You can't just make the prime minister and the king clean up your mess. Why not? We've been friends since before you were born." Uncle John sighed so many times during that conversation, I'm worried he permanently damaged his lungs. Oh, and Grandpa also forgot to prepare a gift. For his own grandson. His own first grandson whose party he literally committed acts of war to attend. Uncle John, saint that he is, had already sent a gift caravan ahead days ago because he knew this would happen. Meanwhile, my other grandpa, Carrie, the prime minister, was riding toward our territory with the crown prince. Prince William turns out to be Dad's best friend since school. They're basically brothers. The prince was annoyed that Dad had a baby before him. His own kid wasn't due for another 2 or 3 months. Grandpa Carrie hadn't been home since becoming prime minister, and I could tell from the stories that he was barely holding it together with excitement. Now, the party itself. This wasn't some casual get-together. This was a full-scale political event disguised as a baby shower. The guest list read like a who's who of the entire Eastern continent. The entrance order alone was a whole production. First came the merchants and local big shots, basically people trying to network their way into our family's good graces. Then the lower nobles, all of whom showed up personally because sending a representative to a duke's party would be social suicide. Then the major noble houses, entering in a very specific political order. Enemies first. They mostly sent representatives because, awkward. Then political allies, then actual relatives. The seating chart for this thing probably required its own department. After all of that, Dad walked in carrying me, flanked by Mom and Shia. And the second we entered, we were swarmed. "Duke Vicshire, what a pleasure, I am, Lady Elivi. You look stunning as always. Lady Shia, congratulations on your, oh my, young Arthas is so, just a wall of noble small talk hitting us from every direction." Dad handled it like a pro. Mom smiled gracefully. Shia was polite and charming. And me? I was a 1-month-old prop being passed around like a very expensive, very cute football. Then the grand finale entrances, the ambassador from the allied Brainer Kingdom, and Crown Prince William himself. Once everyone was seated, Dad stepped up and delivered his speech. "Welcome everyone to the celebration of my son, Arthas Blondfield. As you can see, this adorable little guy right here is my pride and joy. Your presence honors both me and Arthas. Please enjoy yourselves." Dad raised one hand to wave at the crowd while holding me with the other. And here's where I pulled off the greatest political move of my infant career. As Dad waved, I raised my tiny little baby hand and waved too. The crowd melted. I could feel the collective awe ripple through the hall like a shockwave. Hundreds of nobles, warriors, merchants, and diplomats, all reduced to puddles by one chubby arm wiggle. Was it calculated? Was it instinct? Was it my adult brain reading the room and executing a perfectly timed PR move? I'll never tell. All I know is that on this night, in front of the most powerful people in the kingdom, I, Arthas Blondfield, age 1 month, absolutely owned that room with a single wave. Eat your heart out, Crown Prince William. The real star of this kingdom just arrived. After the big fancy party ended, the inner circle gathered for a private after-party. About 10 people, my family, the grandpas, Uncle John, Prince William, and Shia's brother and his wife. The second the formalities dropped, both grandpas lost all dignity and rushed at me like two linebackers fighting over a football. "Arthas, I'm your grandpa. Let me hold you." Carrie stopped pushing. "Back off, Mike. You already have other grandkids. This is my first grandson. I have priority." Two of the most powerful men in the kingdom, the Western Marshal and the Prime Minister, shoving each other like kids fighting over the last cookie. Mom thought this was hilarious and decided to pour gasoline on the fire. "Haha, Arthas is so popular." "So, Arthas, who do you want to hold you?" Both old men whipped their heads toward me with desperate puppy eyes. "Come to Grandpa Mike." "No, come to Grandpa Carrie, Mom." "Why? Why would you do this to me?" She probably thought I'm just a clueless baby who'd innocently reach for one side. But I'm a grown man inside this chubby body. I know exactly what happens when you pick favorites between two powerful old men. Wars have started over less. So I deployed my emergency escape move. "Mama," I reached for Mom. "Neutral territory. Switzerland strategy." Neither grandpa could complain because who's going to argue with a baby choosing his mother? Both grandpas went silent. Then Mom casually mentioned I learned to talk 5 days ago. Their competitive grief instantly transformed into competitive pride. "My grandson is a genius. My grandson is a genius." Then immediately, "Say Grandpa Carrie." "No, say Grandpa Mike first." Again with the choosing. "I just solved this problem and you're creating it again." Being a diplomat at 1 month old is exhausting. Meanwhile, on the other side of the room, Dad was drinking expensive wine with Prince William and Uncle John. Turns out these three are old military buddies. They served together when they were young and apparently once snuck behind enemy lines and destroyed an orc watchtower, just the three of them. Absolute maniacs. They were also reminiscing about how Dad somehow stole both of the army's prettiest women. Mom and Shia were apparently famous beauties during military service, and Dad snagged them both. William and John were still salty about it years later. "How did you manage to get both of them?" Dad just smirked. "Legend." Then the conversation took a turn that I, a 1-month-old baby minding his own business, was not prepared for. "By the way, Vic," William said casually, "Arthas got 45 marriage proposals tonight." 45. I am 1 month old. I haven't even figured out how to control my bladder yet, and 45 families want me to marry their daughters. 31 of those weren't even for primary wife. They were offering their daughters as secondary wives. My dating pool is already deeper than anything I had in my entire previous life. The irony is painful. Dad seemed mostly amused. Was I this popular when I was born? I need to ask my old man if he rejected any beauties on my behalf. William explained why. The Blondfield Duchy is basically a country within a country. Our territory alone produces 20% of the entire kingdom's tax revenue. We border the elven kingdom of Kylal, and we trade them food for magical items, which is apparently a goldmine deal because our land is super fertile and elves can't farm to save their immortal lives. Everyone wants a piece of this. Then William dropped the real bomb. "Hey Vic, if one of my 3 pregnant wives has a daughter, want to set up a marriage arrangement with Arthas?" Dad didn't even hesitate. "A princess for my son? Done. But raise her right. I don't want some spoiled brat for Arthas's main wife. You raise your kid right. If he turns out to be some arrogant noble punk, I'm canceling it." Then Uncle John jumped in. "What about my daughter? Jovier is only 2 years old." Perfect match. Dad agreed to that one too. The Reisman family produced Elivi, so Jovier should be great. And just like that, while I was across the room trying to avoid saying one grandpa's name before the others, these 3 clowns were casually arranging my love life over wine. I went to bed that night with 2 fiancés, possibly 3, depending on whether Prince William's wives deliver girls. I'm 1 month old. 1 month. I haven't taken a single step. I can barely say 2 words, and I'm already engaged to a princess and my cousin. In my previous life, I died single. In this life, I've been alive for 30 days, and I'm practically building a harem. The universe has a sick sense of humor. 6 months old. Half a year in this world, and here's what I've learned. Time works differently here. Months are 35 days long. Years are 420 days. My calendar is basically on steroids compared to Earth's. But let's cover the important news first. Prince William's wife had a baby girl, Celiris Igahog, which means my arranged marriage is now confirmed. I have an actual fiancée. She's 3 months old. I'm 6 months old. We're basically the world's youngest engaged couple. Our dads agreed to keep it unofficial until they can observe our personalities, which is royal code for, let's make sure neither kid turns out to be a brat before we commit. Also, Shia had her baby, a little girl named Dayala, my half-sister. Unlike me, she's acting like a completely normal baby, crying randomly, zero signs of secret adult intelligence. Just vibes. Must be nice not carrying the burden of 2 lifetimes of consciousness. Oh, and the king is retiring. Yep, Grandpa Carrie's best friend decided that now that Prince William has a son and heir, it's time to pass the crown. Coronation is set for January 1st next year. William is about to become King Igahog the 34th. Dad has to attend, obviously, because when you're a duke, every royal event is mandatory. But honestly, none of that mattered to me right now. My personal mission was way more important, learning to move. My language skills were exploding. The family hired people to read me storybooks around the clock, and combined with my language comprehension, gift from God, I could understand every single word on the page, even if I couldn't pronounce them all yet. I was basically speed-running literacy, while everyone thought they were just entertaining a baby. I was dying to get my hands on real books, history, politics, and especially magic. But I couldn't get to the library because I couldn't move. Until 2 weeks ago, I learned to crawl. Freedom. Sweet, glorious freedom. Mom and Dad were thrilled by my advanced development. I was thrilled because I could finally execute Operation Baby Adventure. The plan was simple. Wait for the maids to leave, escape my room, explore the mansion. I'd been staring at the same 4 walls for 6 months. Time to see my house. Attempt number 1 was a disaster. Step 1. Get out of the crib. I reverse crawled to the edge and basically fell off. The landing hurt. I almost cried. And at this point, crying would summon every maid in the building. I bit down on my baby gums and held it together through pure willpower. Step 2. Crawl to the door. Made it. Feeling heroic. Step 3. Open the door. I couldn't reach the handle. I just sat there, on the floor, staring up at a doorknob that might as well have been on the moon. 6 months of planning, a painful crib escape, and my entire mission was defeated by the fact that I'm 14 inches tall. The maids came back and found me sitting by the door like a sad little potato. Adventure over before it started. I didn't attempt again for 2 months. Not until I could stand. Attempt number 2 was an engineering masterpiece. Step 1. Climb out of the crib. Easy now that I could stand. Step 2. Build a stepping platform out of toys. I stacked blocks, stuffed animals, whatever I could find, right in front of the door. Baby IKEA. Step 3. Climb the toy mountain. Reach the handle. Turn it with both hands. Crack the door open slightly. Step 4. Jump down, grab a hard toy stick, and use leverage to pry the door open the rest of the way. That's right. I used physics. Archimedes would be proud. An 8-month-old baby just applied the lever principle to break out of his own nursery. I was free. After checking for maids, coast clear, I beelined straight for the library. I had 2 targets, magic books and history books. Bad news on magic. Turns out spells require precise verbal chanting. My baby mouth can barely handle mama. If I mispronounced a spell, it could literally damage my body. So magic studies were shelved until I could talk properly. Disappointing, but not worth exploding. Good news on history. I managed to read some before the search party found me. Here's what I learned about my kingdom, and honestly, it's a wild origin story. About 1,000 years ago, Igahog I was a famous marshal in some big human empire to the south. He was so popular that the emperor got jealous and decided to kill him. Not directly, but by sending him on a suicide mission against the demon race with an army of sick, old, and injured soldiers. Classic jealous boss move. But Igahog I was a genius. He contacted the elves and beast men who were being oppressed by the demons, got the elves to heal his garbage army with magic, trained everyone together, and turned his death squad into an actual fighting force. Then he went on a winning streak against the demons and conquered all the way up to where our kingdom is now. The emperor was furious and ordered him back for a secret assassination. Igahog basically said, "LOL no," and declared independence instead. The beastmen went north to build their own nation. The elves supported both sides from their forests, and together they fought off 3 imperial invasion attempts. The empire crumbled after that. Other generals saw what happened and declared independence too. The whole empire shattered into tiny countries. Igahog seized the opportunity, grabbed a bunch of territory, and boom, the Igahog kingdom was born. And the Blondfield family? My ancestor was Igahog the First's right-hand man. He's the one who built the alliance with the elves in the first place. That's why we got the duchy. Nearly 1,000 years of being top-tier nobility. And it all started because my great-great-great times 100 grandpa was really good at making friends with pointy-eared forest people. I was just getting to the part about why the beastmen, who used to be our allies, are now our enemies when the maids found me sitting on the library floor surrounded by books way too big for my body. The look on their faces was priceless. Half panic, half confusion. How did he get here? The door was closed, yeah. Good luck baby-proofing a room against a kid with a PhD in economics and a working knowledge of simple machines. After my library heist, the maids got orders to watch me around the clock. My adventure career was over before it started. Maximum security baby prison. But time passed, and I kept growing. By age 1, I could speak full sentences. Mom and Dad were so excited they decided to start teaching me to read and write early. Mom volunteered as my teacher, which was perfect because that's exactly what I wanted. Though honestly, I felt a little guilty about all the praise. Everyone thinks I'm a language genius, but half the credit goes to God's language comprehension gift doing the heavy lifting. I'm basically using cheat codes and accepting the trophy. Sorry, Mom. But you know what'd make me genuinely happy? At almost 1 year old, I finally stopped breastfeeding. Finally. A whole year of daily embarrassment, over. I'd gotten used to it by then, but still, freedom tastes sweet. And it doesn't taste like milk. Quick world update. King Igahog the 33rd officially retired on January 1st, and Prince William became King Igahog the 34th. The old king took the royal treasury's money and went on vacation around his own country. Retired king life. Must be nice. Now, being off breast milk meant I ate real food at the dining table, which meant I left my room regularly. And guess what's between the dining room and my bedroom? The library. Every single meal, I'd walk past it and, casually, ask to go inside to practice reading. Brilliant strategy. Nobody suspects the baby who wants to study. At first I played it safe. I'd ask Mom to grab me fairy tales, and whenever a country was mentioned in the story, I'd hit her with innocent baby questions. Mommy, what kind of country is that? Mom, being the dedicated teacher she is, would go research the answer. I was using children's books as a Trojan horse to extract geopolitical intelligence. Espionage level, toddler. Then, at 1.5 years old, I made my move. Mommy, the book says the hero beat the dragon with magic. What's magic? Oh, you haven't seen magic yet, have you? Nope. Fire spark. A tiny flame appeared on Mom's fingertip. Just like that. Casually. Like lighting a birthday candle with her mind. I lost it. Not outwardly. I maintained baby composure, but inside I was screaming. Magic is real. It's right there. On my mother's finger. Mom explained the basics. You circulate magical energy inside your body. Chant a spell, and your magic takes the form you want. Simple enough in theory. Can I learn? I asked, doing my best excited toddler impression. Not yet, sweetie. Kids have very little magical energy. Even this tiny flame would drain you completely, and running out of magic makes you feel terrible. It's dangerous, disappointing, but fair. Then something happened that I did not expect. Mom's eyes lit up like someone flipped a switch, and she launched into the most intense magical theory lecture I've ever heard. And I've attended university. Here's what I learned from Hurricane Mom's Magic Masterclass. Magic runs on internal energy called mana. No mana, no magic. You can train your mana capacity by circulating it through your body, basically pushing mana into different body parts to stretch their storage capacity, like inflating a balloon. Everyone has a natural growth limit, but training gets you there faster. Casting magic requires multitasking on an insane level. You need to circulate mana internally, release it externally, chant the right spell, and vividly imagine the result, all at the same time. If you're targeting someone, add lock eyes on target to the list. It's basically patting your head, rubbing your stomach, singing opera, and doing calculus simultaneously. The imagination part is key. If you can perfectly visualize a flame, you can skip the chanting entirely. But for complex spells, nobody can imagine them clearly enough, so chanting fills in the gaps. Think of chanting as autocomplete for your brain. And here's where it gets wild. There are spell tiers. The lower tier goes from Fire Spark, all the way up to Flame Explosion. These are single-target spells. Standard combat stuff. Upper-tier spells are Area of Effect Nightmares. Firewall can split an enemy army in half. Fire Snake is even worse. Fire Rain. Yes, raining fire can decide entire military campaigns. Then there are the world-class spells. Great Flame World turns an entire city into a hell's cape of fire. And the god-tier spell? Heaven's Burn. It can incinerate an entire country. Mom delivered all of this with the enthusiasm of a professor who finally found a student who'll listen. She was glowing, gesturing wildly, going deeper and deeper into magical theory without stopping for air. Meanwhile, two maids were standing in the corner watching a grown woman passionately lecture a 1.5-year-old baby about weapons of mass destruction. Their faces were priceless. Eventually, Mom paused, noticed the maids staring, realized what she'd been doing, and cleared her throat. Ahem. Anyway, that's all very advanced. You don't need to remember everything. Just know that it exists. She tried to recover. Lasted about 5 seconds. But you can start training your mana circulation now. The earlier the better. Here's how it works. And she was OFF again. Another 20-minute deep dive. She only stopped when she looked down and remembered she was teaching magical energy techniques to someone who still sleeps in a crib. What I didn't know at the time, and wouldn't find out until later, is that my sweet, gentle, storybook-reading mother is actually one of the top-ranked combat mages in the entire Igahog Kingdom. A tactical-level caster with spirit-rank power. One of the strongest magic users in the nation. She wasn't just explaining magic theory. She was a grandmaster excitedly sharing her life's passion with the one person too young to run away. Mom, you beautiful, terrifying woman. You could burn down armies, and you're here making fire sparks on your fingertip for a baby. I don't deserve you, but I'm definitely starting those mana exercises tonight. So Mom taught me how to train magic, and I immediately dove in like a kid cannonballing into a pool. Except this pool was invisible, microscopic, and located somewhere inside my own body. Step 1. Feel the magic inside you. Sounds easy, right? Wrong. Imagine you dropped a single grain of sand somewhere inside your body, and now you have to find it using nothing but your brain. That's what sensing mana feels like when you're a 1-year-old baby with almost zero magical energy. Normally, kids start this training around age 6, when their bodies have grown enough to actually contain a decent amount of mana, and they have the mental focus to search for it. A talented 6-year-old can find their mana on day 1. Average kids take 3 or 4 days. I'm starting 5 years early, in a body with roughly the magical capacity of a teaspoon. But here's my advantage, my adult brain. A normal baby has the attention span of a goldfish on caffeine. They can't concentrate for more than a few seconds. My mental focus is roughly that of a 10-year-old, which is wildly overpowered for a baby. Problem number 2. Solved. I also reminded myself about God's gift, endless learning. Even if I have zero magical talent, as long as I put in the work, I can learn anything. So worst case scenario, I'm just a really hardworking baby with no talent, which is still better than a regular baby who can't even try. Oh, and one more thing. I had to do all this training in secret. Because if Mom and Dad saw their 1-year-old baby sitting perfectly still with intense concentration for hours, trying to sense invisible magical energy, that would raise some questions. So I only practiced when nobody was watching. Baby espionage continues. 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks of sneaky meditation sessions to find my mana. And when I finally sensed it, it was hiding near the bottom of my heart. The tiniest, faintest wisp of energy imaginable. So fragile that if I twitched even slightly, it would drift away and I'd lose track of it again. Like trying to balance a soap bubble on a leaf during an earthquake. But I found it. Step 1. Complete. Step 2. Merge your consciousness with your mana. Here's how Mom explained it. Normally, your mana and your willpower are separate things. To control mana, you need to force your mental energy into your mana. Think of it like 2 rivers crashing into each other. Your mana is usually a massive river, and your willpower is a tiny stream trying to drill through it. Even talented people take about a week of daily headbutting before their willpower finally cracks through. Keyword: normally. See, the whole system is designed for people whose mana is bigger than their willpower. Makes sense for 6-year-olds. They've got decent mana pools, but limited focus. My situation is the exact opposite. My mana, in baby terms, is the size of a coin. My willpower, powered by 26 years of adult mental development, is the size of a hand. When I sent my consciousness crashing into my mana, it didn't drill through. It didn't chip away slowly. My willpower straight up engulfed it, surrounded it on all sides, squeezed it like a stress ball. One attempt. Done. First try. Instant fusion. Mom said talented people take a week. I did it in roughly 3 seconds. Not because I'm talented, because my mana pool is so pathetically small that my overpowered brain just ate it alive. It's like watching a grown man arm wrestle a hamster. Step 3. The long grind. Now that I could control my mana, it was time to circulate it through my body to expand my storage capacity. Push mana into each body part, stretch it out, let it absorb more next time. Like slowly inflating thousands of tiny balloons scattered throughout my entire body. And here's the thing about this step, it can't be rushed. There's no shortcut, no cheat code, just slow, daily practice, pushing mana around, stretching a little more each time. There's also a really important reason to start young. See, your body grows in stages: baby, kid, teenager, adult, old age. If you've been training mana since stage 1, your body remembers that high capacity and builds on it in stage 2. But if you skip early training and try to catch up later, your body built its foundation on zero training, so your ceiling is permanently lower. It's like compound interest, but for magical energy. Start investing early, retire rich. Start late, and you'll never catch up. Oh, and fun fact, old mages don't get weaker. Once you've hit your maximum capacity at any stage, that level is locked in forever, even in old age. The only mana that shrinks with aging is the mana you didn't develop. So all those ancient wizard grandpas and storybooks with terrifying power, they just trained hard when they were young and kept everything they earned. This is exactly why me starting at age 1 is so insanely broken. I'm getting 5 extra years of compound magical growth that literally nobody else in this world has ever had. By the time I'm 6, when normal kids are just starting, I'll have been training for 5 years already. So yeah, my daily routine is now: wake up, eat, practice reading with mom, secretly meditate on mana circulation when nobody's looking, eat again, practice more, sleep. Repeat forever. It's not glamorous. There's no lightning bolts or explosions. Just a baby sitting very still in his crib, eyes closed, quietly becoming a magical powerhouse one microscopic stretch at a time. But hey, every world-destroying archmage has to start somewhere. Most of them probably didn't start in diapers, though. So I found out later what was going on inside Mom's head after that legendary magic lecture, and honestly, it's the funniest thing that's happened in either of my lives. First, Mom was embarrassed. She realized she'd just spent hours passionately teaching advanced magical theory to a baby while 2 maids stood there watching like, "Ma'am, he's one." But then she started listing reasons why I definitely understood at least. Some of it, and her logic was hilarious. Evidence 1. I'm smart. She cited the great door escape, when I stacked toys to reach the handle and used a lever to pry the door open. Normal babies can't do that. Fair point, Mom. Evidence 2. I can talk in sentences at 1 year old. Most babies my age are still struggling with, Mama. I was doing that at 1 month. Also fair. Evidence 3. My curiosity. She noticed I was always steering our fairy tale sessions toward real-world questions. What's a goblin? What's that country like? What's magic? And then she said something that made my blood run cold. I feel like Arthas was deliberately guiding me toward the magic lecture. How? Woman's intuition is terrifying. She literally figured out my entire strategy. The fairy tales as a cover, the innocent questions as breadcrumbs, the slow escalation toward magic knowledge. She saw through me. But then, and this is the part where I exhaled so hard I nearly blew out my own lungs, she thought about it for 2 seconds and went, "But he's only 1 year old. There's no way a baby could plan something like that." Saved by the sheer impossibility of my own existence. Nobody suspects the baby. Nobody suspects the baby. She also noticed I'd been spacing out more often since the lecture, which she correctly guessed meant I was practicing mana circulation. She called it a mother's sixth sense and got all emotional about our special bond. "Mom, it's not a spiritual connection. You're just observant, and I'm bad at hiding things. But sure, let's call it a bond. That's cute." Now here's where the story gets really good. Apparently, my magic questions didn't just teach me something. They woke something up inside Mom. Something that had been sleeping for over a year. Something dangerous. See, before she got pregnant with me, Mom was a full-blown magic research junkie. She lived for studying and practicing magic. But pregnancy meant she couldn't use magic for 10 months because, explosions and babies don't mix. Then after I was born, she was so busy being the world's most devoted mother that she just forgot about magic entirely. For over a year, one of the kingdom's top-ranked mages just stopped, cold turkey, like a retired rock star who put down the guitar to change diapers. Until I asked, "Mommy, what's magic?" That one question ripped the lid off a volcano. Suddenly, Mom was burning with passion again. Her internal monologue went something like this, and I'm barely exaggerating. "I want to research magic. I want to use magic. I'm a spirit-rank tactical mage. I'm one of the strongest casters in the entire kingdom. I'm a national military asset. If I don't use magic, I'll ROD." When I cast that tiny little fire spark for Arthas, it felt foreign to me. Foreign. That's how long it's been. And then she remembered something that truly sealed Dad's fate. Wait. When Vikshir married me, he promised to build me a magic research laboratory. He promised. It's been years. Where is my lab? Mom stormed off to find Dad with the energy of a woman who just realized her husband forgot a major promise. She demanded her research lab. Dad, sweating, admitted it wasn't finished. Now, they'd been married for years. There is no way a duke with unlimited resources couldn't finish a research lab in that time. Which means construction obviously stopped at some point, and Dad just hoped she'd forget. She did not forget. Mom raised her hand and fired a high-level combat spell in Dad's general direction. She didn't hit him directly. She's a professional, but the blast wave alone left him dizzy and stumbling around like a drunk sailor. My sweet, gentle, storybook-reading mother just attacked my father with military-grade magic because he didn't finish her lab. Dad got the message. The research laboratory was completed in 2 weeks. A project that had stalled for years was suddenly done in 14 days. Amazing what a little spousal artillery fire can do for construction timelines. So to recap, I accidentally manipulated my mother into teaching me magic, which accidentally reignited her passion for magical research, which accidentally reminded her that Dad broke a promise, which led to Dad getting blasted across a room and panic building a laboratory in record time. All because a baby asked, "What's magic?" I am the most dangerous 1-year-old in this kingdom, and I haven't even cast a single spell yet. Let me walk you through a day in the life of Arthas Blondfield. Age 1, secret adult, professional baby. 6:30 a.m., I'm awake. Eyes closed. The maids are right there, so I can't just sit up and start meditating like a tiny monk. Instead, I pretend to be sleeping while secretly running mana circulation exercises. This is my morning gym session. Nobody knows. Nobody suspects. Just a peacefully sleeping baby, definitely not training to become a magical powerhouse. Nothing to see here. 7:30 a.m., my stomach or bladder betrays me. I open my eyes, say something simple like, "hungry," or "bathroom," and the maids spring into action. They wash me, dress me, and bring breakfast. My menu? Porridge and bread. Every single day. I'm the heir to the most powerful duchy in the kingdom, and I eat like a medieval peasant. To be fair, this world doesn't exactly have a wide food selection. No eggs Benedict and Samus, apparently. 8:15 a.m. Off to Mom's room for language lessons disguised as story time. Except lately Mom's been busy every other day. Wonder what that's about. Couldn't possibly be related to a certain magic research lab that was recently completed in a record-breaking 2 weeks after a certain someone got blasted across a room. Nope. Total mystery. On Mom's off days, Shia takes over, which means I get to hang out with my little half-sister Dayala. And honestly, she's adorable. Brown hair like Shia, huge blue eyes like gemstones, round chubby face, textbook cute baby. She's also a real baby, which is incredibly useful for me. I watch her to learn how actual babies behave so I can calibrate my own acting. She's my reference manual, my behavioral benchmark. Every time she does something dumb and baby-like, I take mental notes. Ah yes, that's what a normal 1-year-old looks like. I should do more of that. 10:30 a.m., playtime ends. I get sent back to my room to rest before lunch. Rest? Please. The second the door closes, it's back to mana training. 1 hour of pure, secret magical grinding. I'm like a video game character farming experience points while the NPCs think I'm napping. 11:30 a.m. Lunch with the family in our private dining room. Mom and Dad get a full feast. Me? Nutritionally balanced, baby food with a tiny bit of meat. I'm sitting at a table that could feed a small army, watching my parents eat like kings while I nibble on mashed whatever. The audacity. 12 p.m. Post-lunch walk with Mom. And this is how I finally mapped out my house. Turns out, we don't live in a house. We live in a castle. A legitimate, proper, medieval fortress. Let me paint the picture. There's a massive square wall, 1,000 meters on each side. In the southwest corner, the wall extends inward to form a raised platform, and our castle sits on top of the wall itself. Not inside the walls. On them. The open ground inside has gardens, training fields, horse stables, and guard barracks. The castle has 4 floors plus a rooftop. Floor 1, hidden inside the wall base. Kitchen, servant quarters, storage. The engine room of the household. Floor 2, the party floor. Grand hall, dining rooms, indoor training area, entertainment room. This is where you enter from the wall. All the big events happen here. Floor 3, the office floor. Audience chamber, private meeting rooms, Dad's office, bureaucrat offices, the library, staff quarters. Stairs from floor 2 are at the very back for security purposes. Smart. Floor 4, bedrooms. Where the family sleeps. Where I sleep. Where I secretly train magic every night. Rooftop. Nothing but open sky and a nice view. Guards patrol up here, but it's mainly for relaxing walks. Mom and I come here after lunch to help digest food before nap time. 12:30 p.m., nap in Mom's room. And for once, this isn't a cover for secret training. My baby body genuinely needs sleep after a full morning. I'm out cold in seconds. Being a covert magical prodigy is exhausting work. 2 p.m., freedom. Afternoon is my unsupervised time. I march straight to the library and read everything I can get my tiny hands on. History, geography, politics, whatever feeds my understanding of this world. Then more mana training between chapters. 3:30 p.m., tea party in the garden with Mom, Shia, Dayala, and various noble ladies. This sounds boring, but it's actually my best intelligence source. These women gossip about everything. Whose dog died? Which merchant brought luxury fabrics? Whose husband is cheating? Political alliances. Trade routes. Border disputes. It all comes out over tea and cookies. I sit there looking cute and absorbing classified information like a chubby little spy satellite. 6 p.m., dinner. More baby food. More watching adults eat better than me. Someday I will eat a steak. Someday. 6:30 p.m., the golden hours. After dinner, nothing is scheduled. No lessons, no walks, no tea parties, no social obligations. For glorious hours until bedtime at 10:30. This is my main training window. Pure, uninterrupted mana circulation. For hours of magical grinding, every single night, while the maids think I'm just quietly playing with toys or staring at the ceiling. 10:30 p.m., sleep. Actual sleep. Recharge the baby battery. Wake up tomorrow and do it all again. That's it. That's my life. From the outside, I'm a well-behaved baby who eats, plays, naps, and goes to bed on time. A parent's dream child. From the inside, I'm running a covert self-improvement program that would make a Navy SEAL cry. Language study, political intelligence gathering, mana training, physical development, social camouflage. All squeezed into a schedule built around porridge and mandatory napping. Babyhood is officially over. The grind has begun. And nobody in this castle has any idea what's quietly growing in the nursery on the 4th floor. Well, maybe Mom has a hunch. Her 6th sense is honestly scary. Baby phase, complete. Time for the toddler training montage. Once I hit the age where my body started growing fast, I added physical training to my already packed schedule. During afternoon tea parties, while Mom and the noble ladies gossiped about whose husband was cheating, I was running laps around the garden disguised as playing. Sometimes I dragged Dayala along too. My little sister had no idea she was participating in a military fitness program. She just thought Big Brother liked running in circles, which, technically, I did. At age 3, I went to Dad with my most innocent face and said, "Daddy, the knights look so cool swinging their swords. Can I learn too?" Dad said yes before I even finished the sentence. He even volunteered to personally teach me. The man was desperate. See, he'd been watching Mom teach me magic for over a year, and he was getting jealous. His wife had a whole bonding thing with their son over spell casting, and what did Dad have? Paperwork. Mountains of paperwork. So when I handed him the excuse to put down the documents and pick up a sword for the children, he grabbed it like a drowning man grabs a rope. Also, turns out Dad is a spirit rank swordsman, one of the best in the kingdom, just like Mom is one of the best mages. My parents are both top-tier combat monsters who fell in love and made me. No wonder everyone's watching to see how I turn out. I'm the child of a magical nuke and a human blender. Dad could only manage 1 or 2 training days a week because of Duke duties, but the castle knights picked up the slack on the other days. Now, here's where I learned something fascinating and terrifying about how combat works in this world. Magic ranking is based on knowledge. If you've studied enough to understand a spirit-level spell, and you have enough mana and mental focus to cast it, congratulations, you're spirit rank. But that doesn't necessarily mean you'd win a fight against a lower-ranked mage. A fire mage who reaches spirit rank could still get destroyed by a mid-tier water mage because of elemental weakness. So magic rank measures military value, not personal fighting power. Swordsmanship is the exact opposite. It measures raw combat ability, and the rankings are brutally strict. The key ingredient isn't strength or agility. It's something called vision. You can memorize every move of a spirit-level sword technique. Practice it 1,000 times until you can do it with your eyes closed. You are still not spirit rank. Because memorizing choreography isn't fighting. Real combat requires adapting, reading your opponent, seeing openings they don't even know they have. That's vision. And you either have it at that level or you don't. The result? In swordsmanship, beating someone 1 rank above you is basically impossible. Not difficult, impossible. A higher-ranked swordsman sees holes in your defense that you don't even know exist. To them, fighting you is like an adult taking candy from a baby. Fights between ranks don't last. They end in seconds. But here's the trade-off. Swordsmen are way less useful in war than mages. A spirit-ranked swordsman can take out maybe 200 soldiers on a battlefield. Sounds impressive until you realize a spirit rank mage can blast a single spell into a crowd and vaporize hundreds in one shot. An upper rank mage can throw up a firewall that stops an entire cavalry charge cold. One person, one spell, battle changed. Swordsmen win duels. Mages win wars. Both matter, but differently. Anyway, I spent 3 years training with a wooden sword because my toddler arms couldn't lift anything metal. I learned a ton of techniques, but they were all performed with a stick that weighs nothing. The moment I tried holding a real iron sword, my arms said, absolutely not, and gave up immediately. It wasn't until age 5.5 that I could finally grip a real sword with both hands. Most kids can't do that until 8. So I was still ahead of schedule, but it meant my actual metal sword training only started 6 months ago. In that time, I reached beginner rank, which sounds slow until you remember I've only been using a real weapon for half a year. But the real progress? Magic and language. By age 4.5, I had completely mastered reading and writing. After that, I finally started learning actual spell chanting, which I'd been putting off because mispronouncing a spell in this world doesn't just fail. It can damage your body. Imagine trying to say a tongue twister and accidentally setting your own lungs on fire. No thanks. I waited until my pronunciation was perfect. In the 1.5 years since then, Mom taught me entry-level spells in all 5 elements: fire, water, wind, lightning, and earth. Nothing flashy yet, just the basics. But combined with 5 years of mana circulation training that nobody else in this world has ever started this young, my foundation is ridiculous. And through all of this, I never stopped my daily mana training. Every morning, eyes closed, pretending to sleep. Every break between activities. Every night for 4 hours before bed. 5 years of compound magical growth. 3 years of swordsmanship. Complete literacy in a fantasy language. An encyclopedic knowledge of geopolitics gathered from library raids and tea party gossip. Today is March 20th, year 999 of the Igahog Kingdom calendar. I'm 6 years old. Happy birthday to me. The grind never stops. Happy birthday to me. I'm 6, which in this world means I'm officially a child now, and it's time to start getting educated. Let me quickly explain the school system here, because it's actually pretty interesting. The kingdom runs 2 levels of public school, both optional. Elementary Academy for ages 10 to 13 covers reading, basic math, beginner magic, and beginner combat. Then High School Academy for ages 13 to 16 sorts you into specialized tracks based on your grades. Good at magic? Welcome to the Magic College. Prefer swords? Combat College. You can attend other colleges' classes too, but you must pass your main one. But nobles think public school isn't enough. So rich families hire private tutors starting at age 6 to give their kids a 4-year head start. Less wealthy families pool money together to create mini-schools. Basically, the rich kids get premium DLC content before the game even starts. I already have a 5-year head start on the head start. But nobody needs to know that. Anyway, the birthday party. Dad introduced me. Then I stepped up and delivered my own speech to a room full of nobles, merchants, and military officers. Clear voice, perfect diction, confident posture. The crowd was visibly stunned that a 6-year-old just addressed them like a tiny senator. Little do they know this 6-year-old has given university presentations in his previous life. After the speech, reality hit. I was immediately forgotten. Dad became the main attraction for anyone wanting political connections. Mom and Shia got surrounded by noble ladies. Everyone wanted to talk to the adults. The actual birthday boy? Totally sidelined. People would acknowledge me when I walked by. Oh, young Lord Arthas. A pleasure. I'm so-and-so from such and such. But they clearly didn't think a 6-year-old would remember any of them. So after the polite 2-sentence exchange, they drift right back toward Dad. The irony is killing me. I'm mentally 30 years old. I want to talk politics and trade deals and military strategy. But everyone sees a small child and gives me the head pat treatment. Meanwhile, my little sister Dayala, who is actually a normal kid, ran off into the crowd within 5 minutes to explore. At least she's having fun. I was getting bored out of my mind, so I headed to the balcony for some air. And there, leaning against the railing, were 3 kids my age. 1 boy, 2 girls. They were chatting casually when they spotted me. Immediately, all 3 snapped to attention, placed their right hands on their chests, and dropped to 1 knee. Full formal noble greeting. To a 6-year-old. On a balcony. I was not prepared for that. In my previous life, nobody bowed to me. Ever. The closest I got was a professor nodding at me in the hallway. I recovered quickly. Hey, no need for all that. This isn't a formal event. Just relax. Please stand up. They glanced at each other nervously, then stood. I introduced myself and told them to call me Arthas or Al. Then they introduced themselves. First, Coman Fried. A boy about my height with a brown buzz cut. Son of the Fried family, who are the sword training instructors for our ducal army. Third son. Seemed a bit stiff, but eager. Second, Isha Vincent. A girl half a head taller than me with a fiery red ponytail. Daughter of the Vincent family, our army's spear training instructors. Second daughter. She was the first one brave enough to actually talk normally. Third, Rhine Zach. A quiet girl shorter than me with green hair cut short. From the Zach family, our army's archery instructors. Second daughter. Spoke softly but seemed sweet. All 3 were children of our household's military retainer families. My people. My generation. So what are you guys doing out here? I asked. Isha answered first. It's boring inside. It's all adults talking about adult stuff. I felt that in my soul. Except my version of the problem is the opposite of theirs. They can't understand adult conversation, and I can't get adults to have one with me. But boredom is boredom, and misery loves company. So I decided to actually try being a normal kid for once. Right? Same here. Everyone's talking about stuff I can't follow. I've been wandering around alone this whole time. I lied. I understood every word in that ballroom. But I'm not about to tell 3 6-year-olds that I'm secretly a 30-year-old reincarnated economist. Coleman lit up immediately. Yes, that's exactly it. Adults are always busy and we're always left alone, Ryan chimed in shyly. It's so lonely at home. Though it got better when Isha and Coleman started visiting sometimes. Then Isha's eyes went wide. Wait. Arthas, you actually live in this castle? It's so big. And just like that, we were talking. Really talking. Kid stuff, sure, but it felt nice. I got Mom's permission, grabbed a servant escort, and gave them the grand tour of my castle home. They were amazed by everything. The rooftop view, the training grounds, the massive hall, the library. For the first time in this world, I had friends my own age. Sure, I'm mentally 30 and could probably outdebate their parents. Sure, I'm secretly training in forbidden baby magic and reading geopolitical texts at bedtime. Sure, the gap between us is roughly the width of the Grand Canyon. But they were fun. They were genuine. And after 6 years of having nobody to talk to except adults who treat me like a baby and a sister who is a baby, it felt really, really good to just hang out with kids and pretend to be one. Komen, Isha, Ryan, my first friends in this world. Acquired at my own birthday party. On a balcony. Because we were all bored. Best birthday present I could have asked for. So I found out later what was going on with those 3 kids before I walked onto that balcony. And honestly, it's comedy gold. Let me set the scene from their side. Isha, the redhead with the ponytail, was standing in the banquet hall when her dad pointed at me on stage and basically said, "See that kid up there giving a speech like a tiny politician? That's your future boss. You'll be serving him for the rest of your life. Isn't he impressive? No pressure, right?" Imagine being 6 years old and your dad tells you that the fancy kid on stage is your destiny. Isha immediately started feeling inadequate. She watched me deliver my speech, which, let's be honest, I did nail, and thought, he's so amazing. What if I'm not good enough to serve someone like that? Girl, I'm a fraud. I'm a 30-year-old man trapped in a child's body pretending to be impressive. You're fine. Then the food arrived, and Isha forgot all about her existential crisis. Apparently, our kitchen went absolutely insane for this party. She couldn't even name most of the dishes. She described the spread as less like food and more like art. The dessert table alone apparently broke her brain. She wanted to devour everything in sight, but her dad had given her strict orders. 1 plate only. Eat slowly. Maintain dignity. She ate 1 plate. Got full immediately because she's 6. Then sat there tragically watching dishes she'd never tasted pass by, mourning the stomach capacity she didn't have. Rich people problems hitting a commoner kid in real time. After the food excitement wore off, Isha, Komen, and Ryan realized they were the only kids at this party. Every adult around them was networking, drinking, and completely ignoring 3 small children standing awkwardly by the buffet table. They considered coming to find me, but apparently my speech had intimidated them so badly they didn't dare approach. Komen suggested exploring the castle on their own. Isha and Ryan shut that down immediately. You can't just wander around someone's house without permission, and asking the Duke for a tour pass was way too terrifying. So they retreated to the balcony as a compromise. At least they could look at the castle from outside. And then the conversation turned to me. This is my favorite part. Isha started it. Arthas is really amazing, isn't he? Speaking in front of adults like that at our age. Ryan nodded eagerly. I saw him having actual conversations with grown-ups afterward. Even our dads want to talk to him. He's not normal. Isha again. And he's so good-looking too. I really want to talk to him. I wonder what his personality is like. 2 girls gushing about me on a balcony. If only my previous life's dating record could see me now. But Komen. Oh, Komen had a completely different take. Typical rich kid. Look how short he is. Obviously doesn't exercise enough. I heard he spends all his time reading books in the library. Total pretty boy. And of course adults talk to him. He's a duke's son. Must be nice never being bored. The girls turned on him like attack dogs. Isha fired first. So what if he's short? You're shorter than me. And he's been training swordsmanship since he was little, Ryan piled on. And what's wrong with reading books? Could you even read one if someone handed it to you? Komen, backpedaling. What? We haven't even met the guy and you're already defending him? They were in the middle of this full-blown argument about me. A person none of them had actually spoken to. When I opened the balcony door, the silence was instant. 3 kids frozen mid-argument, faces cycling through panic, embarrassment, and horror. Isha was internally screaming. He saw US fighting. First impression ruined. This is all Komen's fault for talking trash. Then Ryan recovered first and dropped to 1 knee. The other 2 scrambled to follow. 3 kids kneeling on a balcony like I was about to knight them. I told them to relax and introduced myself casually. And you could literally see the relief wash over them. They expected some arrogant noble brat, and instead got a kid who said, "Just call me Al." And Komen? The guy who was just calling me a short bookworm pretty boy 30 seconds ago? Within 5 minutes, he was chatting with me like we'd been friends for years. Agreeing with everything I said. Nodding enthusiastically. Zero trace of that tough guy attitude. "Buddy, I heard you. The balcony door isn't soundproof. But honestly, I kind of respect the energy. He didn't like me on principle, met me, and immediately changed his mind. That's not fake. That's just a kid being a kid. And it's refreshing compared to all the adults inside who smile to your face while calculating your political value. After we got comfortable, I asked Mom for permission and gave them the castle tour they'd been dreaming about. Isha was practically vibrating with excitement. Ryan was quietly absorbing everything with wide eyes. Coleman pretended to be cool about it, but I caught him staring at the training grounds with his mouth open. 3 retainer kids who were too scared to talk to me, now walking through my home as my guests. And me, the secret 30-year-old who's been lonely for 6 years, finally feeling like maybe being a kid isn't so bad after all. Even if one of them called me short. I am working on it, Coleman. Give me time. For days after my birthday, formal education officially began. And the best part? Coleman, Isha, and Ryan got invited to study with me. Having friends in class beats sitting alone with a tutor any day, even if I'm secretly decades ahead of all of them. Let me introduce the teaching staff. For combat training, we got the older brothers of my 3 friends. The Fried, Vincent, and Zach families are literally the weapon instructor families for our duchy's army, swords, spears, and archery respectively. So we basically got trained by our friends' big brothers who grew up swinging weapons before they could walk. For reading and math, we got Lusha. She's an elf who works as the head manager of the front desk at our city's Adventurers Guild. She looks about 20, gorgeous golden hair, big light blue eyes, picture-perfect face. But she's an elf, which means her appearance froze at some point, and she could be any age. And indeed, she's been working here for over 40 years. She was already on staff before Dad was even born. She teaches illiterate adventurers to read so they don't accidentally accept the wrong quests, which makes her perfect for teaching kids. The real reason she got the job? Security clearance. You can't just let random strangers into a duke's castle to teach his children. Lusha's been around so long she's practically furniture. Trusted furniture with beautiful hair. For magic? Still Mom. Because when your mother is one of the top-ranked mages in the entire kingdom, hiring someone else would be like owning a Ferrari and taking the bus. Now, here's where things got awkward. In combat training, the gap between me and the others wasn't huge. Yes, I'd been training since age 3, so my stamina and agility were better. Yes, I'd reached beginner rank. But the other 3 come from weapon families. They've been absorbing fighting instincts since birth. They weren't far behind. And here's the annoying part. Isha and Ryan were actually progressing faster than me and Coleman because girls develop earlier at this age. Coleman was also picking things up quicker than me in pure technique. And my big weakness? 0 real combat experience. I can swing a sword all day, but I've never fought anyone who was actually trying to hit me back. My vision, that critical combat awareness, was basically non-existent. So while I had a head start, they were catching up fast. Fair enough. Combat was competitive but balanced. Magic class? Completely different story. Those 3 hadn't even done basic mana circulation. They were starting from absolute 0. Meanwhile, I'd been secretly training mana since I was 1.5 and had been casting spells for over a year. The gap was so enormous that Mom had to split the class. She'd teach the 3 beginners mana circulation first, give me review exercises on entry-level spells, then come back and teach me intermediate magic while they practiced on their own. It was like putting a college student and 3 kindergartners in the same math class. Which, coincidentally, brings me to the real problem. Reading and math class with Lusha. The other 3 had never studied reading before, so they started with the alphabet. Totally normal for 6-year-olds. Me? I'd been reading since I was 1. I'd already mastered essentially every written character in the language thanks to God's language comprehension sheet and years of library raids. Mom and Dad knew this. They hired Lusha mainly because they wanted someone to teach me math. But math? Oh, math. I have a PhD in economics. I survived China's college entrance exam. I conquered advanced calculus in university. I've done statistical modeling, econometric analysis, and financial derivatives math that would make grown adults cry. And my math class started with 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the chalkboard and derive a quadratic formula just to feel something. But I couldn't. Because how does a 6-year-old explain that he already knows university-level mathematics? Oh, sorry, Lusha. I actually have a doctorate in a field that doesn't exist in this world. Could we skip ahead to differential equations? Yeah, that would go over great. So I sat there, in class, learning that 2 plus 2 equals 4. While my soul slowly left my body, I started using math and reading class as secret mana training time. Eyes open, nodding along, looking like a studious little boy. Brain completely checked out, running mana circulation exercises. The ultimate multitask. Lusha probably thinks I'm an incredibly focused student. I'm actually just doing magical push-ups behind my eyeballs. On top of all these classes, I also had mandatory noble education. Etiquette, family history, political protocol, diplomatic customs. All the things a future Duke needs to know. It ate up massive chunks of my schedule. The other kids went home after regular classes. I went to Duke school for round 2. About 6 months into this routine, Dayala finally turned 6 and joined our study group. My little sister, who I'd been using as my How to Act Like a Real Kid reference manual, was now my classmate. She was behind in physical training, naturally. The other 3 grew up in combat families, and I'd been exercising since toddlerhood. But then something unexpected happened. Dayala showed ridiculous natural talent in both magic and swordsmanship. Not trained talent, raw talent. The kind that makes people's eyebrows shoot up. Apparently, the Blondfield bloodline doesn't mess around. Mom's a magical powerhouse, Dad's a sword demon, and their genes just hit the lottery in my baby sister. She might not have my 5-year head start, but she might not need one. Meanwhile, I'm over here grinding through basic addition and pretending I don't know what multiplication is. The struggle is real. So I found out later what everyone actually thought of me during this period, and let me tell you, living a double life is getting increasingly complicated. First up, Lusha, my reading and math teacher. This elf has been working in our territory for over 40 years, which means she was here before Dad was even born. She looks 20. Elves are ridiculous. Anyway, she figured out my secret within approximately 1 lesson. Not the reincarnation secret, but she noticed that every time she taught something new in math, I understood it instantly. Like, before she finished explaining. Her conclusion? This child is a mathematical genius with godlike talent. Ma'am, I have a PhD. I'm not a genius. I'm a fraud. But sure, let's go with genius. Sounds better on my report card. She also noticed I zone out during her classes constantly. But since she's busy teaching the other 4 kids basic alphabet stuff, she just, let me be, gave up on engaging me entirely. I'm sitting in class running mana circulation while she teaches 1 plus 1, and she's like, the prodigy is doing prodigy things. I won't bother him. Perfect. This is exactly the arrangement I wanted. Next, my little sister Dayala's perspective. And honestly, this one hit me right in the feelings. Dayala thinks I'm the best big brother in the world. In her eyes, I'm this incredibly kind, incredibly smart older sibling who always makes time to play with her, reads her stories when Mom's busy, and can do amazing things like make fire appear on his fingertips. She was so inspired watching me practice magic that she begged Mom to teach her too. But here's the sad part. She tried to find her mana at age 4 and couldn't. When she heard I'd done it at age 1.5, she didn't feel jealous. She just thought, Big brother is so cool. Dayala, sweetie, I'm cheating. I have an adult brain and a divine blessing. You're the actually impressive one because you have genuine talent without any of my advantages. But I can't tell you that, so I'll just keep being the cool big brother. It's the least I can do. She was also really happy when I made friends with Koman's group, because through me, she got her first friends too. And when she finally joined our classes at 6, she found her mana on the first try. On top of that, she showed crazy natural talent in both magic and swordsmanship. The Blondfield genes are no joke. Now, Ryan's perspective. The quiet, green-haired archer girl. Her account of our daily school life is basically a documentary about how weird I am from an outsider's view. Morning classes with Lusha? Ryan says she and Koman were drowning. Letters, pronunciation, math, their heads were spinning. Isha handled it slightly better, but still struggled. Then they'd look over at me and realize we weren't even playing the same game. I'd understand new material the instant Lusha finished explaining, then spend the rest of class tutoring them. Ryan actually felt guilty about holding me back. Ryan, you're 6. You're supposed to struggle with reading. I'm the abnormal one here. During breaks, the 3 of them were initially terrified to exist in our castle. Their parents had loaded them with warnings. Don't be loud. Don't wander. Don't cause trouble for the Duke's family. So they'd just sit there during recess, barely breathing, trying to be invisible. I noticed immediately and dragged them to my room. Pulled out fancy snacks and expensive pastries, the kind they could only get as rare treats from high-end shops in town. In my room, unlimited supply, available 24/7. Their eyes went so wide. I started asking them to tell me about life in the city streets in exchange, and they happily obliged. Diala would join these sessions too, and we'd both listen intently because, fun fact, neither of us had ever left the castle. Everything they described about normal city life was brand new to us. Two Duke's kids who've never been outside their own walls, learning about the real world from commoner kids over stolen pastries. There's probably a metaphor in there somewhere. Magic class with Mom was next, and Ryan was amazed at how patient and gentle Mom was despite being, the Duke's primary wife and one of the most powerful mages in the country. The three newcomers found their mana fairly quickly, within a few days, but merging consciousness with mana took them about a month. Mom told them that was average, which calmed them down. Then she casually mentioned I'd completed that step at age 1, and all three of them just stared at me in horror. I smiled innocently and said nothing. What was I supposed to say? Oh yeah, it was easy because my adult willpower is so much bigger than baby mana that I basically suffocated it into submission on the first try. Pass. Lunch was apparently terrifying for them. The whole Blondfield family eats together, and sitting at a table with the actual Duke, my dad, made them so nervous they couldn't even taste the food. Ryan described it as the peak of daily tension. They're eating gourmet meals in a Duke's private dining room, and they might as well be chewing cardboard from sheer anxiety. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like, can someone pass the bread? Afternoon combat training was where they finally felt confident. Coming from weapon instructor families, they had natural advantages in fighting technique. But Ryan admitted she was surprised that I could keep up with all three of them despite not coming from a combat family. She called it genuinely shocking. Thanks, Ryan. That's 5 years of secret toddler exercise paying off. Then after training, the bath. Our castle has a massive luxury bathhouse with hot water running all day. I invited everyone to use it after sweaty training sessions because, hospitality. It became their favorite part of the daily routine. Ryan literally described it as one of the great joys of coming to the Blondfield household. But Ryan also noticed something peculiar. For some reason, Arthas always seems really embarrassed when we bathe together. Yeah? Because I'm 30 years old inside. I am a grown man sitting in a bathtub with 6-year-old children, and I am deeply uncomfortable about it. Every single time. The kids think nothing of it because they're actual children. But me? I'm staring at the ceiling, counting tiles, running mana circulation exercises, doing anything to distract myself from the fact that this situation is completely normal for everyone except the secret adult in the room. Ryan probably thinks I'm just shy. Coleman probably thinks I'm weird. Isha probably doesn't care. Nobody can ever know the real reason. Some secrets must go to the grave. Both graves. All of my graves. Quick stats update before we hit the road. After 6 months of formal education, I reached intermediate level in magic. Sounds fast, but I'd actually been studying since age 5, so it took about 1.5 years total. Pretty average when you do the math, honestly. My secret advantage is my adult brain giving me enough mental focus to clearly visualize spells that normal kids can't imagine yet. Swordsmanship? Still stuck at beginner. Right at the edge of breaking through to intermediate, but I can't cross the line because I have 0 real combat experience. You can practice sword forms 1,000,000 times, but without someone actually trying to stab you, your combat vision stays flat. Meanwhile, Coleman, Isha, and Ryan all hit intermediate in their family specialties, sword, spear, and archery respectively. They focused hard on one weapon each while I spread myself thin across everything. Jack of all trades, master of none. Classic economist move. I diversified my portfolio when I should have gone all in on a single stock. But none of that matters right now because today is the day. I'm leaving the castle. For the first time in my life. 6 years. 6 years inside these walls. I've memorized every brick, every hallway, every crack in the rooftop tiles. And today, I'm finally getting out. The reason? The Igahog Kingdom's 1,000-year anniversary celebration in the capital. Dad has to attend because he's a duke. And by tradition, nobles bring their kids who've turned 6 to the capital for a big networking party where noble children meet each other. Political playdates, essentially. Deala and I both qualify. We're also bringing 50 escort knights, every single one at intermediate combat level. Because when a duke travels, he travels heavy. The moment our carriage started moving, I glued my face to the window like a golden retriever on its first car ride. I finally got to see my own city, and oh my God, it's enormous. Our capital city has 500,000 people, second largest in the entire kingdom. It's divided into 5 districts, and let me walk you through what I saw on our 6-hour crawl to the East Gate. First up, the government quarter, right outside our castle on the northwest high ground. Military headquarters, administrative offices, all the bureaucratic stuff. Boring but important. Then the wealthy residential district where my retainer families live. Komen, Isha, and Rhine's neighborhood. Neat rows of villas, well-dressed residents, clean streets, patrol guards everywhere. When the soldiers spotted our convoy, they stopped and saluted. I waved back from the window. Probably looked adorable. A moat separates this district from the rest, artificially dug for security, with bridges guarded by checkpoint stations. Across the moat, the luxury commercial district. High-end restaurants, fancy hotels, upscale shops. This is where visiting nobles stay. Our city schools are here too. It was quiet, refined, elegant. Then we hit the central district, and everything changed. Noise, crowds, street vendors everywhere. Food stalls, merchant carts, people shouting, haggling, laughing. This is what a living city looks like. For major roads shoot out from the center toward the 4 city gates like a compass. It was chaotic and beautiful, and I pressed my face so hard against the carriage window, I probably left a nose print. We entered the castle at 6 a.m. We reached the East Gate at noon. 6 hours to cross my own city. That's how big it is. Dad called for a picnic lunch on the plains just outside the East Gate. Our first outdoor meal. The grass was green, the sky was huge, and I sat there eating a sandwich thinking, I spent 6 years staring at these plains from a rooftop. Now I'm sitting on them. It was a weirdly emotional sandwich. After lunch, we hit the road for Real, the route to the capital, northeast through our duchy, 14 days, passing 3 towns and 6 villages. Then through the royal domain, 10 more days, for towns, 6 villages. Total travel time, roughly 24 days. 9 of those 14 duchy days, we'd sleep in towns. The other 5? Camping. Dad brought an extra empty carriage specifically for sleeping, so the family could split between 2 carriages at night. Medieval glamping, Blondfield style. Night 1, we reached Callow Town. I sat in the carriage watching the countryside roll by as the sun set, and something hit me. This is real. I'm actually out in the world. No castle walls, no library, no crib, no nursery. Just open road and open sky. 6 years of preparation. 6 years of secret training, sneaky studying, and pretending to be a normal kid. The world is finally about to meet Arthas Blondfield. I hope it's ready. Our first stop, Callow Town. Population 60,000, which is huge for a town, but it makes sense. It sits on the main road between our capital and the royal capital, and there's a massive underground dungeon 3 hours southeast. Adventurers have been exploring it for nearly 1,000 years, and they've only cleared 50 floors. Nobody's found the bottom. That's not a dungeon. That's a hole to the center of the earth. All those adventurers need food, beds, and booze, which attracts merchants, which attracts more people, which attracts more merchants. Economics 101. Dungeons are great for local GDP. The town mayor personally greeted us at the gate. We checked into a government-owned luxury hotel right next to the military garrison. Top security, top comfort, top prices. Regular people can't afford it. Only rich merchants, nobles, and high-ranking adventurers stay here. Our 50 knights mostly bunked at the garrison next door, except for a dozen who stayed to guard us. After dinner, Dad dropped a surprise. Let's go for a walk. My first time walking on an actual street. With actual people. Shops, noise, smells. Everything I'd only heard about from Komen and the others during snack time story sessions. Deala was bouncing off the walls with excitement. I kept my composure because I'm mentally 30, but inside, I was bouncing too. It was evening, so some shops had closed, but the pubs were alive. Adventurers fresh from the dungeon, drinking and shouting, every tavern packed to the walls. November was approaching, so there were no outdoor stalls, but the warmth and noise pouring out of every doorway made the whole street feel electric. Then my parents got nostalgic. Dad, remember when we were adventurers? It felt just like this. Mom, we explored that dungeon too. Our 5-person party made it to floor 50. Shia, speaking of which, I haven't used my spear in real combat for ages. Vic, spar with me later. Wait. Shia uses a spear? My sweet, gentle, pregnant at my birth stepmother is a spear fighter? Is everyone in this family a secret weapon of mass destruction? Following their wave of nostalgia, we ended up at the Adventurers Guild. Dad wanted to take a look for old times' sake. The guild was basically a restaurant bar job center hybrid. During the day, adventurer parties gather here to organize and eat breakfast while waiting for teammates. At night, it transforms into a celebration hall where adventurers who just got paid blow their money on drinks. Smart business model. Pay them, then immediately take the money back through alcohol sales. In the back, 8 massive blackboards displayed quest postings sorted by danger level, F through SS. The ranking system uses both danger and threat level, which creates some interesting math. Like, killing a Dragon King is maximum danger, but since Dragon Kings almost never leave their territory, the threat level is low, so it's only S rank. But if a Dragon King actually shows up in your kingdom and starts wrecking things? Emergency SS rank. Makes sense. Dad wanted to sit down and have a drink for nostalgia. Problem: every single table was full. But my parents are former adventurers, so they did what adventurers do. Found a table with space and asked to share. The table belonged to a family of 4 adventurers. Dad had changed into casual clothes at the hotel, so he looked like a wealthy merchant instead of a duke. He introduced himself as Vic, a merchant from the capital, Smooth. The family, Hurai, a heavy swordsman in plate armor with a shield and greatsword. Big guy, square jaw, black hair, looked like he could bench press our carriage. His wife Maya, a light-armored dual-wielding swordswoman with brown hair, fast and deadly type. And their 13-year-old twins, Blind, a heavy swordsman like his dad, and Leah, a magic swordswoman with a gem-studded greatsword. The adults started chatting immediately. Adventurer camaraderie is real. 2 minutes in and Dad and Hurai were talking like old buddies. Meanwhile, the twins introduced themselves to me and Dayala. Hi, I'm Blind, and this is my twin sister Leah. Nice to meet you. I'm Al. This is my sister Daya. We're merchant kids from the capital. I kept it vague. No last names. Because, hi, I'm the eldest son of the most powerful duke in the kingdom. Traveling incognito tends to kill casual conversation. Leah took one look at me and Dayala, and her eyes went full heart mode. Oh my gosh. Al is so tiny but talks like a grown-up. The gap is so cute. And Daya is adorable too. Then she grabbed both of us in a bear hug. Dayala thought it was fun. I thought, I am a 30-year-old man being squeezed by a 13-year-old girl, and I need this to end. Blind apologized. Sorry, my sister goes crazy around cute things. We chatted for a while. I learned that Hurai's family settled in Callow Town when Maya got pregnant with the twins. Blind and Leah attend middle school in our capital. They're home for the weekend. The family plans to move to the royal capital once the twins start high school. Standard adventurer family life. The twins told us stories about their first goblin kills and dungeon exploration. Dayala and I listened with genuine fascination. These were real adventure stories from real adventurers our age-ish. Well, Dayala's fascination was genuine because she's 6. Mine was genuine because I've been reading about this stuff in books for years and finally hearing first-hand accounts. The whole time, I was also running damage control on Dayala. My sweet, innocent little sister had no concept of maintaining a cover identity. She nearly blew our disguise at least 3 times. But brother, isn't our house a cast? Daya, look a cool sword on that wall. Crisis management at age 6. Add it to the resume. Eventually Dayala started nodding off. She is actually 6, after all, so Dad wrapped things up. Hurai said something that stuck with me. If you ever need anything, come find us. We might move to the royal capital soon, but you can always ask for us at the guild. Good people. Real people. The kind you don't meet inside castle walls. We walked back to the hotel under a sky full of stars. Dayala was asleep on Dad's shoulder. Mom and Shia were quietly reminiscing. And I was thinking about dungeons, adventurers, great swords with magic gems, and a world so much bigger than any library book could capture. Day 1 on the road. Already the best day of both my lives. 2 days out of Callow Town, we hit our first night of wilderness camping. The Knights unhitched the carriages, propped them up on stands, and boom, instant bedrooms on wheels. Medieval RV life. Dad decided to take some Knights, Mom, and Shia into the forest to hunt dinner. Dayala and I wanted to go so badly, but nope, too dangerous for kids. So there we were, standing in an empty field, surrounded by nothing, banned from the only interesting place nearby. Boredom hit fast. So I had an idea. Let's go catch fish in that river. The guard captain agreed since the river was low risk, and we had Knights plus Lulu for protection. What nobody expected was that I actually knew how to fish. In my previous life, I grew up as an orphan. I know survival skills that would make these pampered Knights cry. Lulu, who was sold into slavery from poverty, also knew her way around a riverbank. I directed the Knights like a tiny general. Use those boulders to herd the fish into the shallows. Dayala, stand there and grab whatever comes your way. The Knights, trained warriors who could kill a man in 3 moves, were now taking fishing orders from a 6-year-old. And struggling. Meanwhile, Dayala was having the time of her life splashing around catching fish with her bare hands, giggling like a maniac. We needed 30 fish for 60 people. Took about an hour. When we got back, the hunting party was still gone, so I started prepping the food. The guard captain watched me gut and prepare fish like a professional and said, "I had no idea you knew how to do this, young lord." Oh, I read a book about camping before we left. Smooth lie. Totally believable. Until Mom came back with the hunting party. They'd bagged mountain chickens, rabbits, deer, and even some wolves, and the interrogation began. "Mom, I didn't know you could fish, Arthas." Dayala, helpfully. "Yeah, brother was really good at it." Me. "I read a camping book in our library." Mom, tilting her head. "That we have a camping book?" Silence. My brain scrambled. "We have thousands of books in that library. I have no idea if there's actually a camping book. I just assumed nobody would check." Dad saved me without even realizing it. Maybe one of our ancestors bought one? Who knows? Either way, reading is good. "Look, it came in handy today." Shia piled on. "Arthas lacks a bit of childlike innocence, but his love of reading is a huge strength. When I was his age, all I did was play." Crisis averted. Note to self, prepare better cover stories. Then everything changed in an instant. Dad and Shia both went rigid at the same time. Something's wrong. From the forest direction. I feel it too. Every night, snap to alert. Shields up, weapons drawn, defensive formation around the carriages. Mom cast a water magic scouting spell, a floating water orb that uses refraction to see hundreds of meters away. Like a magical security camera. Thought I see them. Wolves. About 200. They're grouping up, probably attracted by our cooking and the blood from hunting. 200 wolves. My heart nearly stopped. 200 predators bearing down on us. We're in an open field. The kids, me and Dayala, are sitting right here. Then Dad just relaxed. "Oh, just wolves." I was worried for a second. "Just wolves? Just?" Dad turned to us with his teaching voice. "Listen up, kids. Wolves are dangerous for you. Even one could kill you at your level. But a single wolf is only about as strong as a beginner swordsman. Our Knights are intermediate level. Each one can handle 4 or 5 wolves without getting scratched. We also have multiple high-level fighters. Shia and I are spirit rank. We could solo the whole pack with minor injuries." "And your mother?" "She's a tactical level mage. She could wipe out every wolf without getting touched." "Oh, so we're not in danger. The wolves are in danger." Then Dad dropped the real bombshell. "Actually, this is a perfect opportunity. Arthas, you're fighting, excuse me? Knights, engage the pack, but leave gaps in the formation. Let a few wolves through for Arthas to practice on. Arthas, you'll also provide ranged magic support. Lulu, keep making dinner." Dad literally told Lulu to keep cooking while 200 wolves charged at us. That's the level of threat this represents to my family. A mild inconvenience during meal prep. The Knights formed a defensive semicircle. The wolves emerged from the tree lean, a sea of gray fur and glowing eyes, and charged across the 200-meter gap. 170, 160, 140, 120. Fire, first volley of arrows. A dozen wolves dropped. Another dozen wounded. Second volley at 50 to 70 meters. 20 more fell. I joined in with an intermediate fire spell, and got my first kill. But it felt distant, like swatting a fly from across the room. No real danger, no real thrill. Then the wolves hit the shield wall, and things got loud. 10 heavy shield fighters held the front. 20 pikemen stabbed through the gaps. Greatsword knights mopped up anything that slipped through. It was organized carnage. When the pack was down to about 100, the third squad opened a gap on purpose. 6 wolves poured through. Dad drew his sword, casually killed 5 of them in about 3 seconds, then pointed at the last one. Your turn, Arthas. Draw your sword. Don't take your eyes off it. Watch every movement. Find your opening. Kill it. Easy for you to say, Dad. You just killed 5 wolves faster than I can tie my shoes. I drew my sword. The wolf locked eyes with me. We stared at each other. It pounced. Fast. Way faster than anything I'd faced in training. I could see it coming, but my body was frozen, locked up with fear. No openings, no plan, just raw terror. I dove sideways in a desperate roll and barely dodged. I scrambled to my feet. The wolf was landing, body not fully turned yet. There, first opening. I charged in, but by the time I reached it, the wolf had already recovered. I swung anyway because pulling back mid-charge was more dangerous. Missed. The wolf dodged sideways. But I didn't stop. I kept my forward momentum, circled around to the wolf's blind spot, and spun to face it again. We were back to square one. Round 1 draw. The wolf started circling me. Classic predator move. I rotated with it, keeping my front toward it at all times. But here's the thing. After surviving that first exchange, my fear dropped. My body loosened up. I could think again. Round 2. I predicted where the wolf would step next and lunge there first. 3.5 years of physical training paid off. My burst speed was nearly intermediate level. The wolf didn't expect a 6-year-old to be that fast. It tried to dodge, but I clipped its back with my blade. Barely a scratch, but I drew blood. Advantage, me. Then the wolf got smart and closed the distance for infighting. And here's where being 6 years old sucks. My footwork was fast, but my arms? I'm swinging an iron sword with the arm strength of a child. Even using a one-handed sword two-handed, each swing was exhausting. In close combat, the wolf's agility was clearly superior. I started taking hits. Nothing serious, but scratches were adding up. Every time I tried to create distance, the wolf closed it again. I was losing. Then my PhD brain kicked in. Wait, this isn't a sword exam. This is a fight. There are no rules. I know enhancement magic, 3 spells, rapid-fire chanting while dodging wolf claws. Earth magic, body reinforcement, boosted my strength to a 12-year-old's level. Wind magic, agility enhancement, close combat movement dramatically improved. Lightning magic, speed boost, overall speed jumped to intermediate warrior level. The tide turned immediately. My sword was suddenly light. My body moved like water. The wolf's attacks that were overwhelming me seconds ago now felt slow and predictable. I started landing hits. The wolf panicked and tried to jump back to reset. Fatal mistake. With lightning-enhanced speed, I was on it before it landed. Midair, nowhere to dodge. My sword connected clean and hard. 1 heavy wound. The wolf crumpled. I finished it off. First real kill. First real combat. First time my life was actually in danger since that lightning bolt killed me on Earth. My hands were shaking. My heart was hammering. I had scratches everywhere and my muscles were screaming. And somewhere behind me, Lulu was still calmly preparing dinner. So I found out much later what was actually happening behind the scenes during my epic wolf battle, and honestly, I don't know whether to be grateful or furious. My parents rigged the whole thing. Let me start from the beginning. When Dad announced I'd be fighting a wolf, Mom's first reaction was exactly what you'd expect from a mother. Absolutely not. He's 6. What kind of lunatic sends a 6-year-old LD to fight a wolf? At least wait until he's 12. She went straight to Dad, ready to shut the whole thing down. But Dad, the master negotiator, the duke who charms foreign diplomats for a living, hit her with the parent guilt card. I know, but haven't you noticed? Every time Arthas loses to his friends in sparring, he gets upset. He sneaks out at night to practice alone. He runs laps in the courtyard when he thinks nobody's watching. The kid is desperate to catch up. His problem isn't effort. It's that he overthinks everything. He's too mature for his own good. He needs to feel real danger to break through that mental wall. Mom went quiet because she had noticed all that. She'd seen me moping after losing to Komen. She'd caught me practicing sword forms alone in my room at night. She'd spotted me from her research lab window, running in the dark like a tiny Rocky montage. My parents had been watching me struggle this whole time, and I had no idea. Dad continued. So here's the plan. You secretly cast a protection spell on Arthas so he can't take any fatal damage. If he gets seriously hurt, I'll jump in immediately. But don't let him know about the protection. He needs to believe it's real life or death combat. And if it looks like he's going to lose, quietly cast a weakening spell on the wolf so Arthas can win by a narrow margin. He gets the experience of a real fight, keeps his confidence, and we control the danger the whole time. Their plan was literally, let the kid think he's immortal. Danger, secretly protect him from death, and if he's about to lose, cheat on his behalf so he still wins. I fought that wolf believing my life was on the line. My hands were shaking from genuine terror. I felt the cold breath of death when its claws scraped my skin. Every scratch, every dodge, every desperate swing. I thought it was all real. And the whole time, Mom had an invisible magic shield on me preventing fatal injuries. Dad had his sword drawn ready to intervene in milliseconds, and Shia was standing there with her spear in case anything went sideways. 3 spirit rank warriors watching a 6-year-old fight a single wolf like it was a championship boxing match. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Midway through the fight, when I started losing in close combat, Dad gave Mom the signal to cast the weakening spell on the wolf. Time to execute Plan B. Make the wolf weaker so I could squeeze out a victory. Mom looked at Dad. Then she looked at me, still fighting, still refusing to give up, still not calling for help. And she ignored him. She just didn't cast the spell. Something about watching me refuse to quit made her want to wait. Dad's over there sending increasingly urgent eye signals. Do it now. And Mom's just standing there with tears in her eyes going, not yet. The situation got worse. I was covered in scratches. My movements were slowing down. Mom was agonizing. She finally couldn't take it anymore and decided to cast the weakening spell, and then I started chanting enhancement magic. Mom's jaw dropped. 3 spells she hadn't taught me yet. Earth reinforcement, wind agility, lightning speed, all self-studied from library books. Her plan to secretly help me became unnecessary because I helped myself. She watched me turn the fight around in real time. She watched me chase down a wolf mid-leap and land the killing blow. And she didn't have to lift a finger. Her reaction, apparently, was a wild emotional roller coaster. Terror, then shock, then pride. Then, wait, he learned spells I didn't teach him. Then more pride. Then, oh right, he's bleeding, I should heal him. She rushed over with healing magic. She's not great at it since she's a combat mage, but she knew enough to prevent scarring. While patching me up, her brain was already somewhere else entirely. I need that wolf's pelt. That wolf is the symbol of my son's growth. I'm making it into a coat. I need to grab it before Vic does. She literally fought Dad over the dead wolf's skin. The woman who was ready to cancel the entire fight to protect her baby was now wrestling her husband for a trophy pelt. Mom won, obviously. She always wins. She's a spirit rank mage married to a spirit rank swordsman, and the mage always wins the household arguments. Probably because the swordsman remembers what happened with the research laboratory. So let me recap what actually happened during my life or death battle. I was wrapped in invisible armor the entire time. 3 of the kingdom's strongest fighters were ready to save me at any moment. My parents had a backup plan to secretly weaken the wolf if I was losing. My mother almost used it, but got too emotional watching me fight. And I won on my own anyway because I'm a 30-year-old man who remembered he could use magic in a sword fight. Everything I felt, the fear, the adrenaline, the triumph, the near-death experience, was real to me. But to my parents, it was the most elaborately staged training exercise in military history. I was never in danger. Not for a single second. And the craziest part? It worked. Despite being completely fake, the experience genuinely broke through my mental barrier. The fear was real. The growth was real. The combat awareness I gained was real. My parents manipulated me into becoming stronger, and I can't even be mad about it because it was done out of pure love. Also, Mom now owns a wolfskin coat that she treasures more than most of her magical artifacts. She strokes it sometimes and whispers, "My son killed this." Parents, man. They'll secretly cast protection spells on you, almost cheat on your behalf, fight each other over dead animal skins, and call it Tuesday. I love these lunatics. 2 days after killing that wolf, something clicked. All those little details from the fight, the moments where I almost died, the openings I didn't see until it was too late, the way fear makes your body stupid, they kept replaying in my head. And suddenly, like a lock turning, my swordsmanship broke through to intermediate level. Turns out, you can practice forms 1,000,000 times, but nothing teaches you like almost getting eaten. 10 days later, we crossed out of the duchy into royal territory and arrived at Sita Fortress City. This place is cool. Population 200,000, built centuries ago as a defense against orc invasions. When the kingdom eventually conquered the western territories, the fortress should have become obsolete. But because it sits on the main crossroads between the west and the capital, merchants kept coming, and it grew into a major trade hub. Now it houses 2 mixed military divisions and serves as the kingdom's western staging point for any military campaign. Also a grain supply depot. Basically the Swiss Army knife of cities, defense, commerce, logistics, all in one. But more importantly, this is where we're meeting the Reisman family. We pulled up to the government guest house, and there they were, waiting at the entrance. Uncle John, Mom's older brother, current border count, built like a slightly friendlier version of his war hero father. 2 wives standing beside him, and 2 kids. I zeroed in on the girl immediately. About 8 years old. Brown hair and twin tails. Deep blue eyes. Cute face that was clearly going to be devastating in a few years. My brain did the math instantly. At my 1-month celebration, Dad and Uncle John agreed to an engagement. The girl was 2 at the time. She'd be 8 now. This was Jovier Reisman, my fiancée. She was staring right back at me with curious, blinking eyes. The adults erupted into greetings. Mom and Uncle John hadn't seen each other in ages, and it was pure sibling energy. Hugging, teasing, John asking, "Is Vic treating you right?" And Dad going, "I would never." And John firing back, "You better not." Then came the formal introductions with the kids. "Hi, I'm Jovier, your big sister." She called herself my big sister. "We're engaged, but she thinks she's my babysitter." "And I'm Lockhart, your big brother." Lockhart was the boy, also about 8, clearly trying to look tough. Gave off strong, "I have something to prove" energy. Jovier immediately hit me with the most adorable bombshell of my life. "So, Arthas, my parents told me I'm your fiancé. I asked them what that means, and they said it's like how they are together. We'll get married and live together. And they said husbands protect their wives. But I'm older than you, so I'll protect you instead." I had nothing. Nothing. How do you explain mutual partnership to an 8-year-old who's already decided she's your bodyguard? I just said, thanks." Lockhart did not like this. "What kind of man lets a girl protect him? You call yourself a man?" Jovier spun on him. "I'm your big sister too. I'll protect you as well. I don't need protection. I'm going to be a great marshal like Grandpa and protect the whole country and you, but you can't even beat me in a fight." That's not relevant right now." Then Dayala, sweet innocent Dayala, casually dropped a bomb. "Well, Arthas killed a wolf by himself a few days ago." The adults overheard. Uncle John's eyebrows went up. Questions were asked. That explained the situation. And within approximately 30 seconds, Lockhart was pointing at me demanding a duel. Jovier was requesting a match. Dayala was volunteering to fight everyone. And the adults were nodding enthusiastically like this was completely normal family bonding. Nobody asked me if I wanted to fight. It was just decided. Military families, man. The results, without magic allowed. Me versus Lockhart. I lost. My swordsmanship just reached intermediate a few days ago, and I was still shaky. But I held on for a long time thanks to my real combat experience and adult brain. Lockhart was impressed despite winning. Me versus Jovier. I switched to spear to match her weapon. Lost faster this time because my spear skills were still at beginner peak. She was clean, efficient, and annoyingly good. Jovier versus Lockhart. Jovier won easily. Girls develop faster at this age, and she's just plain better right now. Dayala versus everyone. Lost every match. She's been training for 3 months. But honestly, she's already at beginner level in only 3 months, which Uncle John pointed out was the best natural talent among all 4 kids. After losing, Lockhart walked over to me with a much friendlier attitude. Amazing how beating someone makes you like them more. "Hey, little brother, your swordsmanship is actually pretty solid for your age. You'll catch up eventually." "Yeah, thanks." but I wasn't really listening. I was staring at the spear in my hands. See, something was happening in my brain. During the fight with Jovier, I'd been watching her technique through my newly upgraded combat vision, the same vision I'd gained from the wolf fight. Swords and spears are different weapons, but the fundamentals of reading an opponent, spotting openings, understanding spacing, that's all the same. Vision. I'd broken through in swordsmanship, which raised my overall combat awareness. And now, watching a skilled spear user while holding a spear myself, those insights were connecting to my spear technique like puzzle pieces clicking into place. Everyone was talking around me. Dad was telling me to thank my opponents. I wasn't hearing any of it. I was deep in my own head, feeling something shift. Then it clicked. My eyes lit up. I grabbed the spear and ran to Jovier. Jovier, one more match. Please. She looked confused but agreed. We fought again. I lost again. But this time, instead of a quick defeat, I lasted just as long as I had against Lockhart. Because during that match, my spear technique broke through to intermediate level. 2 weapon breakthroughs in less than a week. Swordsmanship from the wolf fight. Spear from getting beaten by my own fiancé. The adults were stunned. Dad and Uncle John exchanged a look. Is he talented or not? He started training earlier than most kids, but reached intermediate later than the naturally gifted ones. But then he breaks through 2 weapons in rapid succession? What I asked this kid? Probably just years of hard work finally paying off all at once. You know, the whole stored-up potential thing. Sure. Let's go with that. Anyway, let's celebrate. Uncle John was right. It was worth celebrating. I'd entered this trip as a beginner swordsman who'd never left his castle. In 10 days, I'd killed a wolf, reached intermediate in swordsmanship, met my fiancé, and reached intermediate in spear fighting. Not bad for a 6-year-old. Or a 30-year-old. Or whatever I am. And Jovier, my self-appointed protector fiancé, patted me on the head after the match and said, See, you're getting better. Don't worry, I'll keep training with you until you're strong. She beat me twice, and now she's being encouraging about it. I'm being mentored by an 8-year-old girl I'm engaged to marry. This is my life. And somehow it's perfect. Traveling with the Reisman family was wonderful. Heartwarming. A beautiful bonding experience between 2 noble houses. It was also destroying my training schedule. Let me explain my problems. Problem 1, Lockhart. At first, this kid had beef with me for 2 reasons. 1, he'd heard his parents praise me constantly and was jealous. 2, he's a massive sister complex case. He spent 8 years as Jovier's #1 guy, and suddenly some 6-year-old shows up and is her fiancé? Of course he's hostile. I get it. I'd be annoyed too. But I'm mentally 30. I know how to win over a grumpy 8-year-old. A few days of finding fun things to do, games, jokes, activities I remembered from Earth, and Lockhart's hostility melted away. By day 3 we were basically bros. Crisis resolved through the ancient art of being entertaining. Problem 2, Jovier. This girl became my shadow. Reading a book? Jovier appears. What's ya reading, Arthas? Meditating to train mana. Jovier pops in. Let's play, Arthas. Going to sleep? Jovier announces she's sleeping in my bed. My fiancée is 8 years old and has 0 concept of personal boundaries. She's like a golden retriever in Twin Tails. Adorable, but relentless. Then Dayala got jealous. If Jovier is sleeping with Big Brother, then I'm sleeping with Big Brother too. Then Lockhart felt left out and threw a tantrum. So all 4 of us ended up sleeping in one bed every single night. The adults thought this was precious. Oh look, the children are getting along so well. Meanwhile, I, a 30-year-old man, was sandwiched between 3 actual children every night, unable to do my secret mana training because I was literally pinned under a pile of kids. My personal time? Gone. My reading time? Gone. My evening training sessions? Gone. And the worst part? My family saw this as an improvement. Arthas has become so much more outgoing lately. See? He just needed friends his age. He used to just sit there spacing out all the time. That, spacing out, was mana training, MOM. I was becoming a magical powerhouse, and you think I was being antisocial. But sure, let's celebrate the fact that I now have 0 privacy, because 3 children have claimed ownership of my existence. 10 days of this. 10 days of no training, no reading, no alone time. Just constant socializing with kids while my parents beamed with pride at how normal I'd become. Then, November 10th, we finally arrived at the royal capital. And wow, the capital city of the Igahog Kingdom is almost 1,000 years old, but the walls looked brand new, freshly renovated for the Millennium celebration. Population, 1 million. The biggest city in the kingdom. And the military presence was insane. Multiple army divisions for defense, a magic knight order, 3 cavalry knight orders named after the kingdom itself, 2 police divisions, a royal guard, and a palace knight order. This city could fight a war against itself, and both sides would have a full army. The city is built in concentric square walls, 6 layers deep, like a medieval onion. Layer 1, outermost military zone between the first and second walls. Training grounds, barracks, the works. This is where our 50 escort knights had to stay. Nobles can't bring their private armies into the inner city because, you know, the royal family prefers not having foreign troops parked next to their bedroom. Dad handed the guard captain a fat bag of gold coins. Rest up, do some sightseeing. But remember, you represent Blondfield. Don't embarrass us. Layer 2, Craftsman District. Blacksmiths, workshops, artisan studios. Built here specifically because nobody wants to hear hammering at 3 a.m. in the residential zone. Smart urban planning. Layer 3, Commoner District. This is where the action is. Adventurers Guild, markets, taverns, inns, the beating heart of the city. Also where the police headquarters sits, because where there's fun, there's trouble. Layer 4, Rich District. Quiet, elegant, full of mansions and high-end shops. Most government offices are here too. The transition from Layer 3 to 4 was like going from a music festival to a luxury spa. Layer 5, Noble District. Our destination. Mansions belonging to the kingdom's aristocracy. Most nobles with actual territories, like us, keep a second home here for when they visit the capital. Layer 6, the royal palace itself. No more walls needed because you're literally inside the king's front yard at that point. We split from the Reismans at the Noble District. Finally, I love them, but I need my space. Of course, their mansion turned out to be a 5-minute walk from ours. Because the universe refuses to let me be alone. Our capital mansion was stunning. Not castle level, but easily top tier among the noble residences. Iron fence covered in sculpted ivy. Manicured lawns glowing golden in the sunset. A 3-story complex made of 3 connected buildings. Main hall, secondary wing, and a 2-story side building. An old butler named Tans greeted us at the door with a full staff lineup and deep bows. Dad called him Uncle Tans. Apparently, this man watched Dad grow up. Grandpa Carey, who lives here as Prime Minister, wasn't home from work yet. Tans suggested we rest before dinner. Dad agreed. We were led to the 3rd floor of the secondary wing, the family's private quarters. I picked a room next to Mom's. Quiet, decent light, clean. The room was spotless but completely impersonal. Bed, desk, sofa, tea table, a few decorations, nothing else. No personality, no history, just a guest room waiting for someone to make it theirs. I closed the door behind me and stood there for a moment. Silence. Beautiful, golden, perfect silence. No Jovier asking to play. No Lockhart challenging me to duels. No Deala claiming my left arm as her pillow. No carriage rattling. No wolves howling. Just me, a bed, and 4 walls. I had about 2 hours before dinner. I should train. I should meditate. I should review my spear breakthrough. I fell face first onto the bed and passed out instantly. A month of travel, wolf fights, weapon breakthroughs, fiancé management, and 0 personal time hit me all at once like a truck made of exhaustion. My body just quit. I slept straight through until Grandpa Carey came home. The royal capital, the Millennium celebration, a city of 1 million people, the political center of the entire kingdom, and Arthas Blondfield's first act upon arrival? A nap. Some things transcend reincarnation. The need for sleep is one of them. After my power nap, a maid woke me up for dinner. Grandpa Carey was home, and everyone was already chatting in the main hall. I walked into the dining room with Deala and found not just our family, but 2 extra old men sitting at the table. One was Grandpa Carey. I see him once a year when he visits home, so we're familiar. But the other 2? Come to Grandpa. No, come to your grandpa first. Here we go again. Grandpa Wars, Capital Edition. The first stranger was Lean Phillid, Shia's father, which makes him Diala's maternal grandfather and my step-grandfather. Former Viscount, now full-time Minister of Political Affairs. He'd handed the family title to his son so he could focus on government work. Respectable career move. The second stranger opened his mouth and the other two grandpas immediately started roasting him. Every time I see you two spoiling your grandkids, it's hilarious. You're completely different people. Carrie fired back, says the man who abdicated the throne just to play with his grandchildren. You literally let them ride you like a horse, Krulid, Lean piled on. The image of the former king on all fours going neigh while a toddler bounces on his back is burned into my memory. Ha! The greatest failure of my reign was letting you two witness that. Yep. The third old man was former King Krulid Igahog the 33rd, the man who once ruled an entire kingdom, the man whose name commands respect across the continent, and apparently, a man who gives horsey rides to his grandkids with zero dignity. I love him already. The three grandpas got so absorbed roasting each other that Dayala and I just stood there awkwardly until Dad stepped in to rescue us. All right, you three. You're confusing the children. Kids, come say hello properly. Dad introduced Lean as Dayala's other grandfather, which was straightforward. Then he turned to Krulid, and his tone shifted to serious dad mode. This is former King Krulid Igahog. Even though he's retired, loyalty to the royal family is a noble's duty. You must perform the highest greeting, right? Showtime. 6 years of etiquette lessons. Don't fail me now. I stepped forward, straightened my posture, placed my right hand on my left chest, dropped to one knee, bowed my upper body at 45 degrees, and delivered my line with textbook precision. It is my first honor to meet you, Your Majesty Krulid Igahog. I am Arthas Blondfield, eldest son of Vikshir Blondfield. Nailed it. Smooth, dignified, perfect form. Dayala tried to follow with a curtsy, but she'd only been learning etiquette for a month, and her execution was enthusiastic but wobbly. She gets an A for effort. Krulid was impressed. Rise, rise. This is private. Just call me Grandpa Crew. But Vikshir, your etiquette training is remarkable. The boy's form is polished. He must have practiced extensively. Yeah, I practiced that greeting approximately 400 times because my etiquette tutor is a perfectionist. But it paid off. Dinner was served, and the three grandpas kept pulling me and Dayala into conversation. What are you studying? What do you want to be when you grow up? Standard grandpa interrogation protocol. I gave polished, age-appropriate answers. Dayala gave adorable, slightly confused answers. Together, we were the perfect grandchild duo. As Krulid was leaving, he dropped a casual bombshell at the door. Oh right, I heard about the marriage arrangement between Arthas and Celeris. I was told it won't be official until both families observe the children in person. Well, from what I saw tonight, Arthas passes MY inspection. The rest is up to you. Dad bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty. I'll raise him to be worthy of Princess Celeris. He's already exceeded my expectations. I look forward to watching him grow. Oh, and bring the kids to the palace sometime. My grandchildren rarely get to play with kids their age, so the former king just approved my engagement to his granddaughter based on watching me eat dinner and do a fancy knee bend. My etiquette training literally just secured a royal marriage. Take that, everyone who said learning to bow was pointless. After the guests left, Grandpa Carrie played with us for a while before reluctantly dragging himself and Dad to the office to deal with government paperwork. Mom and Shia gave us the house tour. The mansion has 3 connected buildings, the main hall for meetings, dining, and offices, the secondary wing with guest rooms on floors 1 and 2, and our family quarters on floor 3, and a side building for staff housing, storage, and kitchen. Not as grand as our castle, but it's honestly the nicest second home I've ever seen in either lifetime. Finally, I was alone in my room. Door closed. No Jovier. No Lockhart. No Dayala claiming my arm. Just me and blessed, beautiful silence. And that's when I did what I do every night. Mana training. Here's the exciting update on that front. After 5 solid years of daily, obsessive mana circulation, morning, evening, during class, before bed, during meals, basically every waking and sleeping moment, I've achieved something significant. Unconscious mana circulation. That means my mana now flows through my body automatically, even when I'm not thinking about it. Walking, talking, eating, sleeping, mana is always circulating. It's like breathing. I don't have to think about it anymore. This isn't unique. Most adult mages can do it by their 20s. High school top students figure it out in their teens. But for a 6-year-old, that's extremely rare. Almost no child can maintain the boring, grinding, mind-numbing discipline of daily mana training for 3 to 5 straight years without quitting. I could, because I'm secretly a 30-year-old with an iron will and no other hobbies besides pretending to be a baby. The practical benefit is huge. Experienced mages can instinctively throw up a pure mana shield in emergencies without thinking. That's unconscious circulation at work. And for growing children, having it active 24/7 means my mana capacity keeps expanding even when I'm not actively training. It's like having a gym membership that exercises for you while you sleep. The downside? Even after 5 years of nonstop training, I've never once hit my mana capacity limit. Mom explained that growing children's mana storage keeps expanding with their bodies, so the ceiling keeps rising before you can reach it. Frustrating, but also means my potential ceiling is getting higher every day. 5 years of invisible grinding. No flashy results. No dramatic breakthroughs. Just slow, steady, compound growth that nobody can see. One day, when I finally stop growing and hit that limit, all this invisible work is going to show up in a big way. But tonight, I'm just a tired kid in a quiet room, circulating mana until I fall asleep. Some heroes slay dragons. I do invisible magical sit-ups in bed. The grind never stops. Even in the capital. Hey Arthas. Hey Deala. We're here. I walked into breakfast and found the Reismans already sitting at our table. Of course. Apparently our families are now permanently fused. The reason? Dad, Uncle John, and Grandpa Carey all had to go to the royal palace to officially register their arrival. Noble protocol. Big deal, nobles need to greet the king in person. So the 3 men left, and we were stuck with 4 moms and 4 kids. The mom's plan, sightseeing day. The kids' reaction, maximum excitement. Our first stop was a clothing store in the rich district. Now, let me explain the logic here. We're staying in the capital until January for the Millennium celebration. That means we need winter clothes. Also, if we're going to the commoner district later, we need plain-looking outfits so we don't scream, ROBUS, we're nobility. Both perfectly valid reasons. But let's be real, the moms wanted to go shopping. Everything else was justification. We spent what felt like an eternity in that store. 8 people, 5 outfits each, 2 commoner outfits, and 3 winter garments. 40 pieces of clothing total. Mom even pulled out the wolf skin from her magic storage bag. Yes, she carries it everywhere, and commissioned a custom wolf fur coat. Total bill, 20 gold coins. Quick currency lesson for this world. 1 copper coin equals roughly 1 yuan from Earth. So 1 gold coin equals 10,000 coppers equals about 10,000 yuan. 20 gold coins for 40 garments? That's roughly 200,000 yuan. Our winter clothes cost more than some people's houses. The cashier's face when Mom said, "Deliver it to the Blondfield mansion," was priceless. A split-second freeze, quick recovery, big smile. Of course, ma'am. Professional composure. I respect that. Next, jewelry store. The moms went feral. Sparkling eyes everywhere, pointing at necklaces, debating earrings. The other kids were bored to tears. But me? I spotted something actually interesting, raw magic stones. I'd seen them embedded in magical tools at home, but never in their natural uncut form. Fascinating stuff. For safety, the moms stored all purchases in their spatial bags instead of wearing them. Smart move for the commoner district. Then we crossed through the wall into the commoner district and the kids lost their minds. Look, street food. It smells amazing. Someone's playing music over there. Wait, don't run off. There are too many people. Be more like your cousin Arthas. Uncle John's wife Dalen, Jovier's birth mother, was trying to wrangle her kids like a sheepdog herding cats. I learned during the trip that both of Uncle John's wives, Dalen and Aiko, were formerly top-tier magic swordswomen in the capital's Magic Knight Order before they were deployed west and met John. My entire extended family is basically a collection of elite warriors who retired into parenthood. Mom, meanwhile, had the opposite complaint about me. Arthas should be running around excitedly like them. He needs more childishness, not less. Can't win, Mom. I act mature, and you want me to be childish. I act childish, and you'd probably worry something's wrong. At lunch, we found a quiet restaurant. The moms ordered like pros. They've clearly done this before. The 4 of us kids struggled with the menus. Lockhart, Jovier, and Dayala couldn't read half the words. I could read everything, but had no idea what any of the dishes actually were. Braised forest boar in herb reduction. I know every word individually, but have zero mental image of the food. We all needed mom assistance. Then the moms asked the golden question. Where do you kids want to go this afternoon? Lockhart. Instantly. Weapons and armor shop. Military family DNA. Confirmed. Dayala. Toy store. Actual 6-year-old response. Confirmed. Jovier. The Adventurers Guild headquarters. Curious spirit. Confirmed. Me. Thought somewhere with books. Nerd reputation. Eternal and unbreakable. Shia, who grew up in the capital as a viscount's daughter, mapped out a perfect route. Southeast to the Academy District for books and toys, then northeast for magic item shops and weapon stores, then north to the Adventurers Guild. Efficient. I'm starting to appreciate why Dad married this woman. The Academy District was incredible. 5 high-level academies, all concentrated in one area. This is because high academy teachers need to be at least top-tier level, and there simply aren't enough of those people to staff schools outside the capital. So every serious student in the entire kingdom comes here. It was midday, so students were everywhere, walking in groups, eating lunch, chatting. Their uniforms came in 5 colors depending on their academy: black, blue, white, purple, and brown, all with decorative trim. Some wore swords, others carried magic staffs, a few had both. They radiated youthful energy, bright-eyed and optimistic, completely different from battle-hardened soldiers. Then I noticed something weird. Students kept glancing at us, whispering, pointing. Look, those women, aren't they? It does look like them. But I heard they, Millennium Celebration, they'd definitely come. And those kids with them must be. So cute though. The moms looked uncomfortable. They couldn't figure out why they were attracting attention. Then a booming voice solved the mystery. Well, if it isn't Eli, Vi, and Shia. And Dalen and Aiko too. A burly, red-haired man in his 50s with a magnificent beard appeared from nowhere. All 4 moms lit up immediately. Professor Foldle, turns out this guy taught all of my parents, Mom, Dad, both of Uncle John's wives, at this very academy. He's the one who trained them before they became the kingdom's elite fighters. And the staring? Professor Foldle laughed and explained. You 4 are some of the most powerful fighters this country has ever produced. Your portraits hang in our Hall of Honor. Every student here has seen your faces. You're basically seeing their idols show up in person. Of course they're staring. My mom has a portrait in a Hall of Honor at the most prestigious military academy in the kingdom. And she spends her days reading me bedtime stories and arguing with Dad about wolf pelts. The gap between Mom at home and Mom's public reputation keeps getting wider and more terrifying. Professor Foldle was curious how the 4 women ended up together, since Mom and Shia graduated 3 years after Dalen and Aiko. The moms explained the whole military service to marriage pipeline, introduced us kids, and chatted for a while before we moved on. As we left, I looked back at the academy buildings. 4 years from now, I'd probably be walking through those gates as a student, wearing one of those colored uniforms, training under teachers like Foldle. But unlike every other student there, I'd be walking in with 5 years of secret mana training, intermediate magic, intermediate swordsmanship, intermediate spear skills, a PhD brain, and 2 fiancés. The academy has no idea what's coming. After saying goodbye to Professor Foldle, Mom dropped some intel about him on the walk to the library. Turns out Foldle is basically the kingdom's Swiss Army knife. He's reached upper rank in both martial arts and magic. The only person in the entire kingdom to do that. And apparently he's still improving, which means he might hit spirit rank in both. The man who taught my parents is a walking national treasure. No wonder his students turned out terrifying. The Royal Library was beautiful, 5 stories tall, sitting right in the center of the Academy District, so students from all 5 schools could access it easily. Books are expensive in this world. Paper isn't cheap, so the collection is only about 800,000 volumes. I say only, because in my previous life that would be a small university library, but here it's the biggest collection in the kingdom. Entry fee, 1 copper coin. Students and founding donors get in free. Both the Blondfield and Reisman families helped fund this place, so we waltzed in after flashing our IDs. Being rich has perks. Mom gave us the tour. First floor, no books, just a lobby with a front desk, a reading hall, and a restaurant. Because people pay admission and then camp here all day, so you might as well feed them. Floors 2 through 4. 2/3 bookshelves, 1/3 reading areas, sorted by subject. 5th floor, private rooms with the best views, available for an extra fee. I was in heaven. 800,000 books about a world I'm still learning. History, magic theory, political science, military strategy, it was all here. I wanted to move in, set up a cot between the shelves, have meals delivered. The other 3 kids wanted to die. We can't talk, we can't run around. What's the point of this place? I like hearing stories, but reading them myself is so boring. I could be training. Right now. And then SHIA, a grown adult, a mother of 1, a noble woman, joined the complaint chorus. Yeah, reading should be left to people who like reading. I'll just listen to the highlights. The reading positive faction mobilized immediately. I spoke first. Books contain knowledge you'd never think to look for. That's exactly why they're valuable. They prepare you for things you can't predict. Mom backed me up. Listen to Arthas. He's 6, and he understands this better than you too. She turned to Dalen and Aiko. When we get home, I'm telling John to increase their book studies. Dalen and Aiko nodded. Just because you're a military family doesn't mean you only need fighting skills. Strategy is a brain game. Then Mom turned to Shia. And you. As punishment for being a bad influence, I'm reducing the amount of paperwork I help you with. Shia's face went white. Wait. If you cut more of my paperwork assistance, I'll have no time for spear training. I'll literally die. You can live without spear training. You survived your entire pregnancy without it. Then can you survive without magic practice? That's different. I practice magic, but I still handle my paperwork. But you completely dropped martial arts training. Martial arts aren't that important. The moment Mom said that, Dalen and Aiko, who are literally Magic Knight-trained dual-wielders, switched sides. Actually, I agree reading is important, but martial arts are also important. Yeah, the adult alliance crumbled in real time. 4 mothers arguing in circles about reading versus fighting versus magic while standing outside a library. The irony was thick enough to cut with a sword, which, apparently, half of them would prefer. Moving on, the toy district. Stuffed animals. Everywhere. An entire district dedicated to plush dolls and figurines. Every single female in our group, all 4 moms, Jovier and Dayala, was instantly hypnotized. Eyes sparkling, hands grabbing, wallets opening. Lockhart and I stood there surrounded by squealing women like 2 rocks in a river of cute. When the shopkeepers saw the moms pull out spatial storage bags to hold their purchases, their eyes literally turned into gold coins. They'd found their dream customers, rich women with bottomless pockets and zero restraint. The moms bought a mountain of stuffed animals. I didn't count. I couldn't. They were moving too fast. Next up, the magic items district. Nobody had actually chosen this area, but it was on the way to the weapons shops, and the moment we entered, oh, this enchantment uses that principle. Mom, what does this one do? Well, Arthas, this device works by. And the mechanism is. Mom went full research mode. Her eyes were glowing. Every shop window was a new mystery to dissect. And I couldn't help myself either. Every unfamiliar magical device was a puzzle I needed solved. We were like 2 kids in a candy store, except the candy was enchanted crystals and the store was a weapons-grade research lab. She aside from behind us. She's exactly like this when we were in school. She dragged me here every time. And now her son's the same way. Like mother, like son. We eventually pried Mom away from the magic district. She was physically reluctant to leave and entered the weapons and armor district. Lockhart's eyes went wide. That blade is made from what? Shia was equally gone. Look at this craftsmanship. And this armor. And me? Still asking questions about everything. I can't help it. A new world means new metallurgy, new forging techniques, new combat engineering. It's all relevant. Mom, from behind. Oh look, Shia can't move when she sees weapons. Just like school. And Arthas likes weapons too. Like mother like. Wait, wrong mother. History repeating itself across 2 generations of this family. Final stop, the Adventurers Guild headquarters. Bigger and fancier than Callow Town's branch, but same basic layout. The 4 moms got nostalgic. Apparently their academies required students to register as adventurers for combat training. So all 4 of my mothers are technically registered adventurers. My family tree is basically a military recruitment poster. The four of us kids sat in the guild hall listening to adventurers swap stories about dungeon dives and monster hunts. Jovier's eyes were shining with wanderlust. Lockhart was analyzing fighting techniques. Deala was just enjoying the atmosphere. And me? I was taking mental notes on everything: dungeon layouts, monster behavior patterns, team compositions, filing it all away for future use. We headed home through the eastern gate into the noble district as the sun set. One day of sightseeing, and I'd learn more about this world than months of library reading back home. The Royal Library exists, and I'm a founding donor's grandson with free access. 5 elite academies are 4 years away. Magic items use principles Mom can explain. The weapon shops carry materials I've never read about. And the Adventurers Guild is a treasure trove of real-world intelligence. This city is going to be my playground. But first, I need to figure out how to ditch 3 clingy kids long enough to actually read some of those 800,000 books. At dinner that night, Dad casually dropped a bombshell between bites. "Oh, by the way, tomorrow we're all going to the Royal Palace." Kids included. Mom blinked. "Didn't you already see King William today? Why do we need to go again?" Today was the formal visit. Tomorrow is the friend visit. William wants to hang out like the old days. And he wants the kids to meet his kids. Apparently royal children don't get many playdates. Oh, and one more tiny detail. William specifically wants to meet me. Because of that little unofficial engagement to his daughter Saliris. No pressure or anything. Just meeting my potential father-in-law who happens to be the king of the entire country. Next morning, we headed to the palace. Since William was busy until noon, we didn't leave until 10:30. Our mansion is literally 10 minutes from the palace gate. Rich people proximity to power, confirmed. The guards barely checked us. Clearly someone called ahead. We passed through the outer wall into a massive courtyard where the royal guard was training. Dad gave us the layout tour while we walked. South Castle, offices, and the throne room. 3 floors of government business. West Castle, storage and servant quarters. East Castle, entertainment. North Castle, the royal family's private residence. The inner palace, for castles connected by corridors forming a central courtyard, with the North Castle and an additional walled section creating the royal living quarters. Since this was a private visit, we headed straight for the North Castle. William was still working when we arrived, so his 3 queens received us instead, along with Grandpa Krullet. The primary queen was Jenny, originally a princess from the Kingdom of Leto. To the south, sent as a political hostage disguised as a student. She met William at school, they got engaged for diplomatic reasons, and apparently she's also Mom and she is former classmate. This kingdom's elite all went to the same school. It's like one giant alumni network running the country. After formal greetings, Krullet shooed us kids into a separate room to get to know each other. And there they were, 5 royal children. 3 boys, 2 girls. The oldest was Sylvia, about 8, golden short hair with a tiny ponytail. She radiated confidence and immediately took charge. The youngest was Roy, about 5. In between were George, Saliris's twin, Jenny's son. Kess, second Queen Anna's son, 6 months younger than me. And Saliris. Golden hair, long and flowing. Deep blue eyes. Cute face. My potential fiancée, the second princess. She glanced at me once, didn't react, and looked away. Either she doesn't know about the engagement, or she looked at a 6-year-old boy and felt nothing. Both completely reasonable. The room was painfully awkward at first. 9 kids sitting in silence. Nobody wanted to speak first because the royal kids outrank us, and you don't just casually chat with princes and princesses. Even Jovier, who has never been quiet in her life, was temporarily mute. Then Sylvia broke the ice like a pro. "You don't need to be nervous. Grandpa sent us here to get to know each other. Let's start with introductions. I'm Sylvia, eldest princess. I like swordsmanship." And just like that, conversation started flowing. Within minutes, the royal kids were fascinated by our stories from outside the palace. They've never been to the streets, never seen a market, never eaten street food. So when I started describing our travels, Callow Town, the dungeon, the Adventurers Guild, the wolf fight, they were hanging on every word. Naturally, I ended up as the main storyteller because I have the best vocabulary and narrative skills. Being a 30-year-old PhD in a 6-year-old body finally has a social application. I'm the world's most overqualified children's entertainer. Then a servant arrived. The king was ready. The royal kids left first. We waited a few minutes. Protocol requires us to enter separately because we need to perform the highest greeting while they don't. Walking into the audience chamber, I spotted William on the main seat. He looked just like I remembered from my 1-month celebration. Same age as Dad, easy confidence. Grandpa Carrie and Grandpa Lean were already there. Dad was giving me eye signals. Do it right. I led the 4 of us in. Step forward, right hand on left chest, single knee down, head bowed. Arthas Blondfield, eldest son of House Blondfield. Deala Blondfield, eldest daughter. Lockhart Reisman, eldest son of House Reisman. Jovier Reisman, eldest daughter. All together, we greet His Majesty. William waved us up casually. Relax, relax. Sit down. I'm your parents' best friend. Just call me Uncle William. Then the adults launched into the greatest story session I've ever witnessed. They told us everything about their past, and I finally pieced together my family's entire history. The grandpa generation, Carrie, Krulid, Old Marshall Mike, and Lean were all high school classmates. They formed an adventurer party together, graduated, then all ended up in the Western military where they fought orcs as a dream team. Krulid commanding, Mike leading charges, Carrie a strategist, Lean running logistics. That's also when the Blondfield-Phillid marriage alliance was formed. The parent generation, Dad, William, Mom, Shia, and Queen Jenny were all classmates too. But here's the twist. Mom was a total antisocial magic nerd who scared everyone with her "don't talk to me" face. Dad and William were best friends, but neither of them really knew Mom beyond that scary girl in class. Shia and Jenny were Mom's only friends. During military practice, Grandpa Mike arranged for Dad, William, and a few others to serve under Uncle John's command. The 3 became close friends. Then a major orc battle scattered their unit. Dad, alone and retreating, stumbled upon Mom. Also alone, trapped, and in serious danger. He rescued her. They spent 5 days fighting their way back to base together. That's how my parents fell in love. Dad literally saved Mom from death, and they spent 5 days of survival bonding. It's the most action movie romance origin story I've ever heard. Meanwhile, that same battle caused the capital's Magic Knight order to deploy west as reinforcements. Dalen and Aiko, Uncle John's future wives, arrived as squad captains. That's how they met John. 1 war, 1 battle, 3 marriages. The Western Front was basically a dating service for elite warriors. After this incredible story session, we had lunch together. Royal food was, honestly, about the same quality as ours. Being a top-tier duke apparently gets you king-level meals already. The kids weren't impressed. The adults didn't notice. Over lunch, the conversation shifted to politics. William was worried about the Millennium Celebration security. The Orc Nation might cause trouble, and having so many nobles in one city creates a security nightmare. Dad explained how he'd arranged defenses back home, deploying troops to the coastal fortress and coordinating with Uncle John's forces. Grandpa Mike was stuck commanding the western border and apparently cried about missing the celebration. Grandpa Carrie's response: permission to resign, denied. After lunch, we kids got sent to the inner palace. The royal family's private courtyard had a massive artificial lake with an island in the middle connected by bridges. A huge pavilion sat on the island, surrounded by gardens that the queens personally maintained. The royals took their combat and magic lessons on the surrounding lawns. We chatted, compared education notes. Their curriculum was similar to ours except their etiquette classes covered royal-specific protocols, and then inevitably someone suggested sparring. The results, ranked by strength. First place, Sylvia, oldest and strongest. No surprise. Second, Jovier. My fiancé continues to be better than me at fighting. Third, Lockhart. Slightly above me, as always. Fourth, me. Consistently fourth. The eternal number 4. Fifth, George. Celeris's twin, decent but younger. Sixth, Celeris. My other fiancé. Also stronger would have been awkward. Seventh, Deala. Only 3 months of training, but holding her own. Eighth, Kess. Youngest participant. Roy didn't compete because he's 5. Rankings perfectly correlated with age, which means I'm exactly where I should be. Not amazing, not terrible, just solidly in the middle of my peer group. For a secret 30-year-old with 5 years of Head Start training, solidly average among children, is both reassuring and slightly humbling. We headed home as the sun set. One day in the palace, and I'd met the king, bonded with 5 royal children, heard my parents' war romance origin story, and confirmed that I'm the 4th strongest 6-year-old in my social circle. The Millennium celebration hasn't even started yet, and I'm already exhausted from socializing. Being a noble child is basically a full-time networking job with mandatory sparring sessions. I miss my library. Okay, so I already told you about arriving at the palace and meeting the queens and Grandpa Krullet. But let me properly cover what happened when we kids got banished to the go play and stop bothering the adults room. 9 children, 5 royals. For nobles, 1 room. Maximum awkwardness. Let me introduce the royal lineup. George, Celeris's twin brother, golden hair, Jenny's son. Kess, 2nd Queen Anna's kid, 6 months younger than me. Roy, 3rd Queen Lifa's boy, a year younger than me and too young to do much of anything. Sylvia, the eldest princess at 8, golden short hair with a no-nonsense ponytail, radiating big sister authority. And Celeris, my maybe fiancé, golden long hair, blue eyes, looked at me once with the emotional investment of someone glancing at a lamp. Cool. Great start to the romance of the century. The silence in that room was suffocating. Royal kids sat on one side. Noble kids sat on the other. Nobody talked. Because here's the thing about hierarchy. When you're a noble child, you don't speak until the royals speak first. And when you're a royal child who's never interacted with outside kids before, you don't know how to start. Even Jovier, the girl who hasn't stopped talking since I met her, was sitting there with her mouth shut. That's when I knew the awkwardness had reached critical levels. Then Sylvia saved us all. She stood up, introduced herself casually, and said, "Let's just talk." Eldest princess energy. Respect. Once the dam broke, conversation poured out. The royal kids were starving for outside world stories. They've never left the palace, never seen a market, never met a commoner. So when our group started describing life outside these walls, they were fascinated. And somehow, inevitably, I became the designated storyteller. Because none of the other kids could narrate a trip to Callow Town with proper pacing and dramatic tension. I gave them the wolf fight, the dungeon town, the adventurer's guild, the road trip, the full experience. 9 kids sitting in a circle, hanging on the words of a 6-year-old with the narrative skills of a 30-year-old novelist. This is what my PhD is being used for now. Bedtime stories for royalty. Then a servant knocked. William was ready. Sylvia took her siblings and left first. We waited a few minutes because noble kids and royal kids enter the king's presence separately. Protocol. Always protocol. I let our group in. Knee down, hand on chest, formal introduction, the whole routine. All 4 of us in perfect sync. William told us to relax and call him Uncle William. Then the adults started swapping war stories, and I finally learned how this whole family web was woven. The grandpa generation, Carrie, Krullet, Mike, and Lean, were literally high school classmates who became an adventurer party together, then fought orcs as a combined military unit. Krullet commanded, Mike led the vanguard, Carrie ran strategy, Lean handled logistics. For best friends running a war like a well-oiled machine. The Blondfield-Philid marriage pact was born right there on the battlefield. The parent generation was wilder. Dad and William were best friends from day one. Same class, same vibe. Mom, meanwhile, was the school's scary magic girl. Full, approach and die energy. Nobody talked to her except Shia and Jenny. Dad and William knew of her, but weren't friends. Then during military training in the West, Grandpa Mike sneaked them all into one unit under Uncle John's command. Dad, William, and John became a trio. A massive orc battle scattered their unit. Dad, retreating alone, found Mom. Also alone, surrounded, about to die. He saved her. They spent 5 days fighting their way back to base together. 5 days of life or death survival turned that scary magic girl into the love of his life. My parents' love story is an action movie. Meanwhile, that same battle brought the Magic Knight Order from the capital as reinforcements. Dalen and Aiko arrived as squad captains. Met Uncle John. Both fell for him. 3 marriages from one war. The Western Front, where the kingdom's elite go to fight orcs and find spouses. Lunch was served in the royal dining room. Honestly, the food was about the same quality as ours at home. Turns out being a top duke gets you king-tier cuisine already. The adults discussed Millennium Celebration security. William was worried about orc interference. Dad explained his military arrangements back home. Uncle John mentioned Grandpa Mike was literally crying about missing the celebration because he's stuck guarding the border. Grandpa Carey's response to Mike's resignation request: denied. One word. Zero hesitation. After lunch, we kids went to the inner palace. The royal family's private garden was gorgeous. A huge artificial lake with an island connected by bridges, a pavilion, flower gardens planted by the queens themselves, and green training fields where the royal kids practice combat. Comparing notes on education, their curriculum was basically the same as ours except their etiquette classes were royalty-specific. Which makes sense. They need to know how to receive foreign ambassadors while I just need to know how to not embarrass Dad at parties. Then naturally, because this is apparently what children do in this world, someone suggested sparring. Final rankings: 8 kids competing. Roy too young first. Sylvia, unstoppable eldest princess second. Jovier, my fiancé, still better than me third. Lockhart, my rival, still slightly ahead fourth. Me fourth. Again. Eternally, cosmically fourth. Fifth. George sixth. Saliris, my other fiancé at least isn't stronger than me seventh. Deala, 3 months of training, still competitive eighth. Kess, youngest competitor, did his best rankings perfectly matched age order. So technically I'm performing exactly at my level. But being 4th out of 8 when you're secretly a 30-year-old with 5 years of Head Start training is humbling. Jovier patted my head afterward again. You did great, Arthas. Keep it up. My 8-year-old fiancé is encouraging me after beating me for the 3rd time. I fought a wolf to the death 2 weeks ago, and this is what breaks my spirit. We headed home as the sun set. 1 palace visit, and I'd befriended 5 royal children, learned my parents met during a wartime rescue, watched 3 grandpas argue about who's more dignified, and confirmed my position as the kingdom's most average 6-year-old prodigy. 4th place. The story of my second life. But hey, at least Saliris knows I exist now. That's progress. I think. Maybe. She did look at me that one time. Romance progress. 1%. So I eventually found out what was going on inside Jovier's head this whole time, and I have feelings about it. Complicated feelings. Let me start from the beginning. 2 years before we met, when Jovier was 6, her dad told her, "You have a fiancé. His name is Arthas. He's 2 years younger than you." Jovier, being 6, had no idea what a fiancé was. So she asked her parents. Their explanation? It's like a prince and princess in a fairy tale, but he's younger than me. How will he protect me? Then you protect him. Think of him as your little brother and your future husband. He'll be the most important person in your life. Jovier's 6-year-old brain processed this and arrived at the following conclusion. So I'm the prince. And he's the princess. Got it. She then decided, at age 6, that she needed to train harder in martial arts because now she had 2 people to protect, Lockhart and me. She spent the next 2 years working overtime with her spear specifically because of this sworn duty to guard her future tiny husband. This girl has been preparing to be my bodyguard since before we even met. When we finally met at Cedar Fortress, her first thought upon seeing me was, and I quote from what I pieced together later, "He's not handsome like a fairy tale prince. He's cute. Like, unbearably cute. That hair. Those eyes. That little face. I want to hug him." Her evaluation of me as a fiancé? Perfect score. This level of cuteness makes me want to protect him even more. I'm not a partner to her. I'm a collectible. A limited edition plush toy that she's been assigned to guard with her life. Then Deala mentioned the wolf kill, and Jovier panicked internally. Wait, he killed a wolf alone? At 6? I couldn't have done that at 6. Is he stronger than me? My big sister Authority is in danger. When the sparring started, she was genuinely terrified of losing to me. Not because of pride, because she'd built her entire identity around being my protector. And if I was stronger than her, what was her purpose? I fought Lockhart first and lost. Jovier watched and immediately relaxed. Okay, I'm stronger than Lockhart, and Lockhart beat Arthas. Math checks out. I'm safe. Then I picked up a spear to fight her, and she panicked again. Why is he using his spear? Is his spear better than his sword? Oh no, oh no, oh no. She won easily. Her internal reaction. What was I worried about? That was nothing. Wait, he looks upset. Oh no, I broke him. I should have let him win. This is all Lockhart's fault for suggesting the tournament. Everything is Lockhart's fault. She then beat Lockhart extra hard as punishment for suggesting the sparring. that SHE also participated in, and won. Logic. When I asked for a rematch, she thought I was being a sore loser and found it super cute. She decided to go easy on me to protect my feelings. Then I broke through to intermediate spear rank mid-fight and nearly overwhelmed her. She went from, let the baby win a little, to, wait, I'm actually losing? Sister dignity emergency, and had to go full power to claw back the advantage. She won, barely, and was sweating bullets. But when I thanked her happily afterward, she realized I wasn't upset about losing. I was excited about breaking through. Her panic dissolved into relief. During our road trip to the capital, Jovier discovered several things about me. 1. I'm quiet, but weirdly entertaining. I kept inventing games, telling jokes, and reading storybooks to everyone during boring carriage rides. She found it suspicious that a 6-year-old was better at entertaining people than she was at 8. 2. I can read every word in the language. She's been studying for 2 years and knows a few hundred characters. I know all of them. She's starting to suspect the age gap goes the wrong direction. 3. I've reached intermediate in all 5 magic elements. She's reached beginner in 2 and intermediate in 1, which her family called exceptional talent. I'm casually 5 times ahead of her. Her internal monologue. I'm supposed to be the big sister, but he reads to me. He teaches US games. He knows more words than I do. He's better at magic. He just broke through 2 weapons in 1 week. Am I sure he's the younger one? And now, the secret she's been hiding. During the entire trip to the capital, when we all slept in the same carriage, and I thought the sleeping arrangements were just kids being kids, Jovier was deliberately sneaking over to hug me in my sleep every night. She waited until I was unconscious, wrapped her arms around me, and used me as a human teddy bear. Her exact thought, his small, cute body is the perfect pillow size. I am a 30-year-old man being used as a stuffed animal by my 8-year-old fiancé every single night, and I didn't even know it. All those mornings I woke up feeling weirdly warm and couldn't figure out why. Jovier. All those times I felt something pressed against my back in the dark. Jovier. Every single night for the entire trip. Jovier. She thinks it's her adorable little secret. I think it's the most embarrassing thing that has happened to me in either lifetime. And that includes peeing on my mother. My fiancé views me as a fairy tale princess she must protect, a cute collectible she wants to squeeze, and a premium sleeping accessory. My feelings about this are grateful, horrified, touched, and deeply uncomfortable, all at the same time. Being loved is wonderful. Being loved like a teddy bear by someone who can beat you in a fight is a unique experience. Welcome to my love life. It's exactly as dignified as everything else in my second life. So 2 people were apparently thinking very hard about me during this trip, and both revelations hit me from completely different directions. First, Princess Sylvia's perspective. Turns out the eldest princess has been bored out of her mind her entire life. The noble kids who visit the palace? Absolutely insufferable. All they do is brag about their families, boast about killing rabbits at age 7 like it's some great achievement, and compete over who's more impressive. Sylvia mentally deleted most of them from her memory within days. Her only real friends are 2 kids who take lessons with her. Brian Wesley, son of the Royal Guard captain, decent swordsman, annoying braggart, but tolerable because she needs a sparring partner. And Emma Cashel, daughter of the Magic Knight commander, weak at combat, but talented at magic and apparently Sylvia's only female friend. Then we showed up, and Sylvia noticed something different immediately. We didn't brag. We didn't name-drop our families. We didn't try to impress anyone. We just told stories about our travels, about the road, about Callowtown. And when Deala casually mentioned my wolf kill, I hadn't even brought it up myself. Sylvia was shocked. Every other noble kid would have LED with that story and embellished it beyond recognition. She was also blown away by my stats. 2 weapons at intermediate level. All 5 magic elements at intermediate. Full literacy. At age 6, she called me a true genius, which is hilarious because I'm a 30-year-old cheater, but I'll take the compliment from a princess. After our sparring match, she confirmed my swordsmanship was legitimately intermediate. Then I showed her I could read books independently, something she cannot do yet despite studying military strategy. She has to get servants to read books to her because she doesn't know enough characters. Her reaction? I'm jealous. I need to work harder. Then she picked up her sword and started training again. This girl's response to being impressed is to immediately go practice. I respect that energy enormously. We're going to be good friends. Now, Dad's revelation. And this one actually matters. After watching me spar against Lockhart, Jovier, and the Royal Kids, Dad pulled me aside with a serious face. He'd discovered a critical flaw in my fighting style, one that could permanently limit my growth if I didn't fix it now. My combat is too rational. Let me explain. Warriors in this world fall into two categories. Instinctive fighters react by feeling. They see an opening and their gut tells them, real or fake, instantly. They flow like water. See move, counter move, no thinking required. Their attacks are fluid and natural. Their weakness? When their instincts are wrong, they walk straight into traps because they don't analyze. Rational fighters react by thinking. They're chess players. Watch one move, predict the next three, slowly guide the enemy into a trap. They're better at identifying fake openings and can exploit them strategically. Their weakness? If something unexpected happens, something they didn't predict, their entire system crashes because they can't improvise. Normal development goes like this. Kids start fighting around age 6 with pure instinct because they're kids. They don't think, they just react. As they grow up and get smarter, rationality naturally develops alongside. By 15, most fighters have a healthy mix of both, which fuses together to let them break into the upper ranks. You need both to advance. My problem? I've been rational from day one. Because I'm secretly a 30-year-old adult. My brain was fully developed before I ever picked up a sword. I've never fought on instinct. Every single exchange, every dodge, every strike. I'm thinking, calculating, predicting. There's zero animal instinct in my combat. And it shows. That's why I keep losing to kids my age who are technically at the same level. They fight with natural, flowing instinct. Their movements are smooth and reactive. Mine are calculated and slightly stiff. When they do something I didn't predict, which happens a lot because I'm still inexperienced, my whole rhythm collapses. The wolf fight. I won because I used my brain to figure out enhancement magic mid-combat. Classic rational solution. But in pure swordsmanship against other kids, I keep losing because I can't feel the fight. This is the downside of being a reincarnated adult that nobody warned me about. My greatest advantage, my mature mind, is simultaneously my biggest weakness in combat. Every other kid learns to fight with their heart first and adds their brain later. I skipped the heart entirely. Dad caught this before I went deeper into intermediate training. If I'd kept going, developing even more rational technique without any instinctive foundation, I would have hit an unbreakable ceiling. I'd never reach the upper ranks. My entire combat career would be capped because I built the house without a foundation. His prescription: throw away thinking. Stop predicting. Stop analyzing. Just pick up a sword and swing. Feel the weight. Feel the movement. React without planning. Let my body do what bodies are supposed to do before the brain interferes. Basically, Dad is telling me to become dumber when I fight. The irony is staggering. I spent 6 years cultivating my intellectual advantage, and now my father, a spirit-rank swordsman, is telling me my brain is the problem. The PhD that got me through 2 lifetimes is actively sabotaging my sword training. In my first life, being smart was always the answer. Study harder, think deeper, analyze better. In this life, sometimes the answer is to stop thinking and just hit things. Easier said than done when you're literally an economist trapped in a child's body. But Dad's right. If I can't learn to fight with instinct, I'll never reach the heights my parents achieved. New training regimen: be less smart with a sword. The universe's sense of humor remains absolutely merciless. Today's destination: the Grand Cathedral Plaza in the northeast corner of the Commoner District. And I had a secret mission. See, God gave me a skill called divine audience. Once a week, I can talk to him through a church. I've had this ability since birth, but never used it because I've never been to a church. 6 years of waiting. Today was finally the day I'd call up the guy who killed me with lightning and ask him some questions. Except there was a problem. A big problem. But I'll get to that. First, let me explain religion in this world. The church structure is basically medieval Europe. Priests run village churches, bishops run town churches, archbishops run city churches, grand archbishops run national churches, cardinals and the Pope run everything from the papal state in the south central continent. They've got elite Holy Night orders funded by a 10% tax from every Eastern nation. But unlike Earth's medieval church, this one can't really abuse its power. Why? Because gods actually exist here. Hard to make up fake divine commands when the actual gods might show up and say, "I never said that." The church mostly stays out of politics and focuses on fighting external threats, like when the Holy Knights helped Igahog the First fight the demons 1,000 years ago. The cathedral complex was impressive. What I thought was a wall from outside was actually a connected ring of temples, one for each god. Because this world doesn't worship one god. It worships all of them. A whole pantheon. We entered through the main cathedral, a long corridor lined with divine statues on both sides. Pilgrims walked through, nuns and priests worked, and holy knights stood guard. The moms stopped at various statues to kneel and pray, dropping money into offering boxes. I was confused. Mom explained, when you get baptized, one or more gods choose to bless you. After that, you pray to your specific gods when you visit a church. You kids haven't been baptized yet, so you don't need to pray. Then she added, baptism usually happens between ages 6 and 10. You're eligible now. But, because our kingdom has been fighting demons on humanity's front line for 1,000 years, the church values us highly. The Pope himself is coming for the Millennium celebration and will personally conduct baptisms. That's why we've been waiting. The Pope is baptizing us. Personally. No big deal. Now my problem. I walked out of the corridor into the Grand Plaza and saw dozens of temples arranged in a massive circle, each one for a different god. And I realized, I have no idea which god reincarnated me. He never told me his name. He just said, "I'm God," and sent me on my way. I was so overwhelmed by dying and getting the Ice Guy sales pitch that I forgot to ask, "Hey, which one are you?" And now I'm standing in a plaza with 40-something temples, and I can't use my weekly divine phone call because I don't know which church to enter. 6 years of carrying this ability. Wasted. Because I didn't ask for a name. This is like having a phone number, but not knowing whose it is. Past life me had a PhD. Current me can't even complete a basic customer identification step. Brilliant. I shelved my frustration and continued the tour. On our way back through the corridor, we ran into someone interesting. Well, isn't this Duke Blondfield and Count Reisman? A young man about Dad's age approached us wearing fancy priestly robes. Silver white hair, confident smile. And beside him stood a little girl about my age. Also silver white hair, deep blue eyes, wearing an elaborate nun's outfit. Quiet, composed, almost doll-like. Dad lit up. "Darren, it's been forever. Everyone. This is Grand Archbishop Darren, the highest-ranking church official in our entire kingdom. He's an old friend of ours, Grand Archbishop. At Dad's age. That's insanely young for such a high position." Then Darren introduced the girl. "This is Eleonora, my older brother's daughter. Our family's eldest granddaughter. You can call her Elaine. Wait. Darren is the Pope's son, which makes Eleonora the Pope's granddaughter. I'm casually meeting papal royalty in a hallway. Eleonora, Elaine, gave a polite, measured greeting. Perfect posture, perfect words, zero childlike energy. She reminded me of, well, me, another kid who acts way too mature for her age. Except her reason is probably raised in the most important religious institution in the world, and mine is secretly a 30-year-old economist. Darren had a favor to ask. He's swamped with Millennium celebration prep and can't take Elaine sightseeing. She has no friends her age because everyone in the church treats her like royalty. Could she tag along with our group? Dad agreed immediately. Then he one-upped it. Actually, why don't she just stay with us? You're going to be too busy to look after her anyway. We're hosting a joint party with the Reismans in a few days. She can meet lots of noble kids there too. Darren checked with Elaine. She smiled softly and said, "I'll follow Uncle's decision." So formal. So controlled. This girl is 6 and talks like a diplomat. Darren agreed, told Elaine to behave, and sent her to pack. We kids want to help. Elaine's room was sparse. A few fancy nun outfits, some small personal items, a couple pairs of shoes. That's it. The granddaughter of the most powerful religious figure in the world lives like a minimalist monk. Meanwhile, my mom's just bought 40 outfits and a mountain of stuffed animals in one shopping trip. While packing, the kids started chatting. Jovier, naturally, broke through Elaine's shelf first. "Don't worry, we'll all explore the city together. We're friends now." Elaine smiled, a real smile this time. I've never played with kids my age before. I've never even walked around a city. Dayala connected with that immediately. Me and Big Brother never went outside either until this trip. Two sheltered girls from completely different worlds finding common ground over shared isolation. It was genuinely sweet. We packed up her tiny collection of belongings, handed them to Diren for the nights to deliver, and just like that, our group grew by one. Current party roster: for noble kids, one papal granddaughter, and regular playdates with 5 royal children. My social circle has expanded from literally nobody to the most politically connected group of 6-year-olds in the entire kingdom. Oh, and I still don't know which god to call. That's going to bother me for a very long time. Note to self: next time a deity offers you reincarnation, get a business card.